Klim Sanik, Dmitry Yuryevic. Very nice. Let's say what this podcast is about. We're starting. Now I'll choose a place for myself under the better sun. In general, to record this podcast. Yes. In short, right from the beginning. I think in the moment as we come.
You arrived before that.
The podcast topic is in stock. We are about motion, I call it that. This is motion, but around motion. In general, Mr. Andre and I are elite authors, by the way, on VideoHive. And this podcast, a little nostalgic. We met 10 years ago. This gray cardinal of mine. He helped me upload the first template in stock. Then he helped me a lot with expressions. He wrote them, of course, for me, because I had no idea. Helped me and entered the course thanks to passing his course on writing scripts. It's just the basics. I created an A2 extension that allows. Export projects were needed. In short, the finale cut from DaVinci to After Effects in Premiere Pro.
In short, I will recommend you better than... What are you talking about?
Well, there will be. Another moment that I kept until this moment. Roman says hello to you. Okay, hide him too. Roman, did you hear I passed it on?
Let me start.
What were you planning to start with? All right, I really think we'll roll back to the very start with meanings. Do you mean? Or we just, now we'll do what's called decompilation, right? In general, there's nothing wrong that our conversation isn't going well right now. We're just laughing. I think we're a bit shy in front of the camera. I definitely feel a bit shy because I don't know, it's unusual. Anyway, somehow. Hop. You're trying to look there, although you should look at yourself. Now we'll get distracted. I think we'll come. In general, 10 years ago, we met in Kazan, in this place. Let's start with why you're here. I don't remember how you ended up in Kazan. Well, let me start then. Let's have some details.
I was invited by Vasil. He is, in fact, the owner of Ferda, so to speak, a company for creating motion graphics.
I was doing that then. A new motion thing, because I liked my next vision video that Timur Konstantinov created.
It was cool. I got excited, and such a cool theme.
So I was doing that for about 2 years, well, with episodic stuff. And thanks to the video I had on my channel, Vasil wrote to me and offered to work. I did a couple of projects remotely, and then he invited me to Kazan, and I was like, why not? And he arrived. And business trips in Kazan. Was it your first business trip? Yes, the first one. And then there were no more?
No, I even flew in once later.
What forgot? That's when we met. I've been there before. You're talking about your first amazement. I kind of missed that moment. How did you learn motion? What lessons? Konstantinov contributed thanks to the training camp.
Actually,
But that was later. Initially, I just stumbled upon some videos. I wouldn't say I was even learning. I had my first project that I put together somehow. I mean, I didn't understand how animation works in After Effects, but I clicked around, and I kind of got it. And only then did I move on to some lessons, stumbled upon something, cut out pieces. Well, in general by intuition, if you could put it that way. Well, how about you? Like I bounced earlier with keys. While at Timur Konstantinov's, who, by the way, was also in the training camp I didn't watch. Kind of bounced it all out. Well, in motion, I came from Photoshop. I hung out in DeviantArt. I remember. By the way, I'm still alive. Yes. And there, by the way, there were text articles and lessons. I watched those too. My first version of After Effects is 6 and 5. There were also tutorials in HTML format right on the disk, by the way. Actually, how I ended up there, even back in HTML. I also made some random videos, and there's a rapper from St. Petersburg, say Abema. And with Vasily, you can literally say music connected us. I'm telling you about this Abema. Made a music video for one of his tracks just for fun. Vasily really liked it. At that time, I had a V-contact group, and he wrote there asking how I could contact this guy. I was in the army at that moment. My brother replied to him that he was at military duty. Wait. And what surprises me is that the person waited. I mean, he waited for us, which brought us together. I remember he wrote to me that it's my dark past. I won't even bring up some episodes from there. Vasily wrote to me, sent some examples. He said, "Can you do it like this?" I lied to him because I couldn't do it like that. But I watched, I roughly understood what needed to be done. And that's when I started to watch the training camp to pick up some tricks from there. And it was precisely there that this trick with scandalous truth and those camera sweeps was.
By the way, it was just awesome.
Vasily, also taught me how to work properly with crooked things. Before that, somehow, through the ass. Probably, he animated them. He showed me some moves. Actually like this. And at some point, it's just amazing that he worked with me, because I was so messed up. Just a walking mess of a person. When my head got clear, we talked. I said, if I were in your place, I would never work with my past self. Because I screwed up, missed deadlines for months. Just for months. He imposed sanctions on me, like you'll get less money. But it didn't affect me at all. I don't care. Money is not the most important thing in life. And what surprised me, he somehow found Mike Trzyk's numbers. So we're sitting there doing business in general in the yard. Here Hop, as he calls my friend from an unfamiliar number. He picks up the phone, says, "Why with you?" I don't know how he did it. Well, honestly, it scared me too. You know, like, I know where you live. He called the home phone. There he somehow found. Maybe I gave it to him myself. I don't know. He kept calling. I wasn't home. He talked to my brother. My brother turned on the computer, looked for my project, something done, not done, but I understand. The person has a deadline. He is under pressure, so he is looking for any way to get the project to know in general whether it's working or not. Well, like, I didn't work in a main part. I was having fun. Well, I didn't have a clear head at all. Then there were some business trips, infamous business trips, where just endless sufferings were. No, it was fun, but still not very comfortable living with people, so husband or wife, and you there, what a call. Whaler. So let's switch then. In general, at a certain moment, we both found ourselves in Kazan. The dots aligned, the stars aligned. Already then Vasil started singing songs to me. There's a friend, he's already doing something on the VideoHive, earning money. And now we will do everything together. I remember there was a song like that. How good that it didn't come true. I think so. And I have a question. In what year did you register on VideoHive? That was probably the year 2013, maybe. Or maybe earlier, by the way. Well, 2011. Well, I think 13. After the year 12, I think it started. I've also known Hive for a long time. I even registered on it. But I didn't have enough wit to figure it all out in this English. I didn't try it until you showed me. This is already in 2015. This is in 2015. But you were already an active author. You already had a portfolio on Gave. I originally registered too, because I saw it somewhere at some motion designer in VContact. And I'm like, what's this? Registered, looked some templates, prices. And I'm like, what? Didn't understand. A year later, I came back to this again, and I'm like, why not try it? This is something interesting and new. Uploaded my first template, got $19, and I'm like, cool. And in the end, I raised the price to $50. I even managed to withdraw. And I'm like, wow, this money is a gold mine.
And he started doing something. That's after that.
Perhaps you learned about the group from a VContact group. You learned about Hive from a V-Contact group, After Effects. They periodically asked and talked there like there's a topic. By the way, it seemed like it wasn't mastered by anyone at that moment. Everyone kind of skipped past that or something. There weren't so many authors. Well, listen, in my view of the internet at that time was only in general, actually in principle it was emerging. Only contacts were just appearing. Well, 2000 in the beginning. Understandable. Some stages have already passed. MHS with 2008 still. It was created in 2008 or 7. I probably didn't even have an external integrator. That's the question. Here, things like local internet existed in my city. Yes, there were some local game servers. With FTP, someone even somehow uploaded Ender Kramer's lessons there. So I found on an FTP site, that was it. An interesting moment came to mind. I was just sitting on the DVR, sitting on the forum TLP. I mean, the internet was expensive. I really wanted to download the entire DVR so I could have all the Photoshop tutorials. And someone wrote to me in a private message, I don't know this person, never met them before. I want to thank him, if he may be watching this podcast, because he helped me create a proxy server, and I had free external internet. I was downloading, I don't know, maybe half a year, maybe several years, I don't remember anymore. But I remember that for a long period of time, I had external internet that I could use to the fullest. Cool, actually sounds like. And every time I had some internet access, I tried to use it to the fullest. I remember. So with cards, a now deceased comrade, he had a birthday, and there, while everyone was having fun, I was at his house for a day with a flash drive, downloading lessons from DeviantArt in some format. Not just HTML with pictures, but before that, he created some kind of archive, and there were immediate pictures in HTML. And there are instant pictures in HTML. Well, I understood. It used to be downloaded completely, and then at some point only an HTML page. And now you can only download plugins together with pictures, and it packs them into one HTML, while a base ZIV picture.
Here.
Okay. The podcast is over. Just a little. Let's go. In general. Normal. In general. Get on with the work. How did everyone get into motion? What are the moments? How did he establish himself there? Let's say. In the end, we came to the VideoHive. You just drifted away from the thought. We came to VideoHive templates. At that time, there was actually only VideoHive. No, there was some stock as well. Well, I don't remember. Pont 5, probably. Yes, probably Pont 5, but it was not very popular. Interestingly, I probably learned about Pont 5 much later. So there's always a certain emphasis on VideoHive. I would probably like to jump between the past and the future right now. An interesting fact about me is that when I made my first templates, I was inspired by Vimeo and got banned from an After Effects group. Because I'm just normal. I remember how anxious I was back then when I was in a group of professionals. I also got banned. What for? I don't remember. I think I offended someone and got banned. And they banned a lot of people just like that. So if you disagree with an admin, and he's like, well, that's it. You're banned from the database.
So there was a kind of dictatorship there.
Back then, I don't know, it just seemed so cool to be part of this group. Even though I didn't talk to anyone there, I liked that there were posts about homework. Moreover, you know what's the most interesting? In general, when I made copies of some non-project motions, they were commercial. I got caught with this 1 or 2 times and basically got banned. So they themselves always basically end. Do you want to learn something? Watch and repeat exactly as there. Watch and repeat exactly as there. Well, I took it and repeated it. It was, for whom should I repeat? Well, back then, I basically didn't think about any copyrights, whether it's important or not. You can do it. You can't do it that way. The main thing is not to copy everything exactly. Don't copy everything. Slightly dilutes the colors. You just take someone else's video, apply hue, saturation, and change the colors. And that moment while eating, if we look now, there is a huge abundance of video tutorials courses, scripts, which is also important, that speed up, simplify the work. At that moment, for example, when I was working with motion, there were scripts probably that I used like copy ease. So I use copies, maybe some kind of cutter on a mask or on a pre-composition. No other scripts. I didn't use in general until I started working full-time on stocks. So only then did I become acquainted with scripts. Well, expressions, they were always primitive for me. Anchor the colors. Used a balance for Vigil and Timur constant enough. That's it. So now it's just a matter of grabbing and clamping. Yeah, the conditions have kind of changed. But back then it wasn't so easy to get in either. On one hand, just to get in. On the other hand, to learn After Effects, you could just be in a vacuum. Those same videos that I made, that Kazan wallpaper, right? The computer was so weak that my RAM lasted literally for a second, probably. And I made a video that goes on for 2 or 3 minutes. I was basically sitting frame by frame. And that's how so? Trying to, including, connect some parts so that they weigh less in the comp, render them separately.
I also have a funny moment in this regard.
I was sitting on a laptop doing all this, and the laptop couldn't handle the render. So I had to put something cold on it, like cold milk. Otherwise, it would shut down due to overheating. This. If you go back to motion, do you also make some kind of video? The computer is very weak. It can render some video for a day. And then he stops somewhere in the middle. The video is messed up. You render it again, and then just try to render it in pieces so that you can glue it together separately later. It has always been bitter for me. From such alterations, when your night is over, you come back, there is nothing there.
By the way, sequences of frames like TIFF, JPEG, PNG were used just for that.
You could continue with the bitches. And then, when you have the entire sequence, overlay the music, and that's it. Well, I came to all of this later. It's classic. I recently found out that if you take some property, let's say position, stretch, and pull it on the preview, an expression will be created that shows. Like,
A rolling pin or something like that is translated.
so, no, I'm talking about this. You never took and tied it with this little whip. You take the position, layer property, drag, pull it onto the preview window, and you have a text layer created with an expression that will show the layer position. And you can take any property like that. In which version is that? I don't know which one, but it's definitely in the latest ones. Well, understood. And for me, it was a surprise. So sometimes when you write code or debug something, it's useful to immediately understand, look at how it works, it shows. It's definitely in version 22. So, we've deviated from the topic a bit. Let's structure a bit, because we're jumping at the moment. From which point should we continue? We touched on stocks. You could just hook other stocks. What stocks? Golden time. Golden time of stocks. It was around the 12th, probably, to at 16 or 18. Listen, I'm 18. Well, my golden age of origins was a different time. I would even argue a bit in this regard. Because, for example, on VideoHive, I wouldn't say there were any outstanding results. Yes, of course, I was making money there. They were. But not all projects were successful. Plus, I could be working on projects endlessly. You spend 3 months on something, or maybe a month and a half. That's another perspective. Now I'll do something. Then you get disappointed. By the way, a significant fact, I think when you became an elite author, we celebrated it with Roman. We even bought a cake, as if we were celebrating. We were definitely celebrating that behind the counters. Thank you, very nice. And I don't remember, maybe even around Mitrozoma. By the way, in fact, Mitrozome also worked for Vajia. So, VideoHive, yes, something was working out, there was some money, but like right at me. The golden era of stocks is associated with motion array. Good. Well, that's always how it goes. That's true. Uncle Solid got excited about something. You don't start doing something, and then a natural disaster happens. I joined Motion Array in 2017, 2 years after Hive. I bought a course. I don't remember who the author was. Well, like the idea there was that the course was about Motion Array, and here we're making Premiere templates. Well, in short, still a relevant course, not courses when everything is already stagnating, but when it's still relevant enough. And that is, yes, it's still relevant now, you know? Simply time, as I see it, yes, different times, different heroes, different. No, that's understandable. Authors of old have suffering about stocks, memories that hinder normal functioning in the current situation. Let's take the same example. Motion Array appears. How much nonsense I've read about how those who upload projects they devalue their work because of the unlimited subscription. Yes, initially, it wasn't exactly unlimited there. I remember, a certain amount, maybe there were 100. Well, anyway, but I remember, it was like that. God, this is scary, this is bad, this is terrible, you devalue. You are generally very bad people. And then an unlimited subscription appeared. At that time, I was also in different groups. A huge number of people. It surprises me. Authors start theories in their heads. I don't know how they managed it, but theories emerge like the more projects I do, the less I earn. If I don't load, everything is fine. I start loading, my income drops.
I remember this topic. It works everywhere. As soon as you start working, it's as if the income really drops. As soon as you, don't work for 3 months.
He's either the same, or he can even grow. And from here, this theory arose everywhere. You know, like some kind of law of meanness. I, in general, strongly disagreed with this because when on Motion Array, in a push at a certain moment directly from Motion Array to Engage, authored by Lexel. I think so. He made PP presets, and we share there in the group like how he does it. I couldn't crawl out of there for a long time. I remember the first month $64, the second month. Whether 164, 300. Anyway, I keep doing it, but I'm just spinning my wheels. That's when I started experimenting, started making titles, started trying to make transitions. And we talked a lot there with you. We called each other on the phone. Many times I talked about how disdainful I was towards transitions, titles, presets there. In general, I had the fiercest, who needs this? The same course on Premiere. Why is this needed? There's After Effects. Why do we need this misunderstanding? And here's Lexel. At one point, I just shared some statistics. I don't remember what year it was, maybe the 18th, maybe the 19th. At that time, he was making $5,000 purely on Motion Array presets. I didn't make it to 1,000. He had 5. And that really motivated me. Here will very much motivate you. A person is telling. Moreover, it's also quite an interesting author. It's not often that you come across such a thing when this person is engaged. Everything seems fine with him. How to continue further. He's annoying me. I want to do other things. I want to run a YouTube channel. Give me a hint in this topic. I also often stumbled upon it. I remember some dude, can't remember the nickname or the name. He was from VContact. And I saw how he posted a screenshot in some group. Oh, the group, do you know who? Trakina, I think. It was emerging there, I think. Volvica now. Volvica. Yes, Volvica. Well, something like that in short. And there he posted look, I earned for the first time. It was $600 a month. I looked at it like, this is something unreal, something from another world. And then someone else posts where he has 300, 500, and they're up to 1,000 something. I'm like, how is this even possible? And so on. And then these guys, they just left. They're like, they ran a small blogger at Contact, and like, everyone, I'm fed up, I'm worse. They say like, guys, what are you going to do with that kind of stuff? They as if they didn't do anything.
They seem to have disappeared into nowhere.
It looked like they were like, what are you doing? I don't understand. In general, it was very wild for me. I'm like, guys, unexpectedly you have such incomes. In those times, well, Malinov accepted it. What's the matter? Presets, if compared even with templates. It looks like a misunderstanding, but the money is crazy. He bought an apartment for $5,000. That is, in some short period of time, he saved up for an apartment, did a great job. How handsome. And here he is at the peak of it all. I don't really like it. I want to do other things. And in my opinion, he left. Either to do YouTube or something. Later, I didn't see it myself. But a friend wrote that somehow, somewhere he surfaced, he says, now I have either 2.5 or 2,000 Parksovs. Many years later, he didn't really do that anymore. And he did. Moreover, one of the authors of presets recently, well, as Motion Array did us a wonderful gift for the second time by cutting the author's incomes. One of the authors of presets, so to speak, the unofficial king of presets, as they called him, shared statistics he had on presets. Moreover, as if we communicated with him, if my memory serves me right, he was a really cool guy. He just learned what he could do. He never engaged in fraud. That's also what amazes me. Just went in, started doing something, did something, and there he is showing before he started cutting. His income reached 10,000. Well, very close to that, $7,000, $8,000, $9,000 a month. On presets, on some crap. You know, mini presets PP, if you go in and look, it's like a stick man. I remember, they look better somehow. People try somehow. Some competition, apparently, may have appeared. But then you just look, people just put it together on the go. If I had known back then, I would have done the same. Sometimes we in their group raise certain topics. I don't remember, some design-related topic was also raised there. That Motion Array wants quality templates there, while cutting us, sort of cutting costs for us. And I was there. I don't remember, didn't leave my words. Here, I just told the whole story. The motion designer in me died. Well, really, I stopped looking at motion design altogether, in principle. By the way, let's go back to Motion Array again. I didn't finish there. I was inspired by all this and just started trying to do it regularly. I think my record was 60-something projects in a month. So, what was the return at those moments? It was just amazing. Well, really, you sit down like arranging a sprint. Other authors criticized me. Like, why do you work so much? No. And such, in principle, I have never noticed that authors argue among themselves over income in the CS segment. But I know an author. To be continued. I don't know, joking or not, he is really serious, like aimed at my competitors. He perceives it like that. We sometimes had some discussions. He says, even if the authors do not say it, they are really competitors. We essentially, on one hand, yes, we are all competitors, but it will be enough for everyone. But, you know, I also have another companion. We also understand that we are competitors on one hand, but I don't feel any intense competition. Well, look, he's doing PP presets there. Authors are just messing around. Or, I do corporates. I've been doing corporates for many years. Corporates, I succeed at it. I'm used to doing it. I naturally only do corporates because I can. And what competition do I have with Anya, who does typography? So what's the point? He's just a loser. How does our competition intersect? No way. Actually, in terms of patterns and themes, yes, it does not intersect, but when there are many authors and they delve into each theme, then it's still competition. We cannot notice it, ignore it, or not perceive it. It's more logical not to perceive it. Otherwise, you are like. And remember, someone asked, I remember too, when I did a Hive Beftrel like this, someone asked, like, this is your competitor, like, why are you sharing? I still didn't perceive it as a direct competitor. On the contrary, in principle, there's enough for everyone. Why should I worry about this? And if you worry about every moment, you can say, why do you live? Ultimately, it makes sense to share knowledge here at least. After all, it seems to me that the internet is a place where not two shawarmas stand opposite each other. Yes, they're far away. So while you were walking, you got hungry again and stopped. Well, moment. Plus authors, they're not that many anyway. Many are fly-ins. They came, did 2 or 3 projects, they can't play on credit, they will fizzle out. Yeah. Returning to the theme, actually I'm browsing projects. I mean, when I stopped working as told, I still had some time. Grasping reflex. Freelance. We talked with Alexei Churkin once. He says it's a freelance grasping reflex. Some kind of Spanish sound. Something. On the horizon is shining. And I had this naive idea back then that, in short, there was such a project. Russian Electronic School. And it wasn't that difficult. There was something to do there. Well, mostly editing. Somewhere keying, somewhere adding credits. Actually, everything was quite typical, not difficult there. I liked the project. They probably worked on it for about half a year. There are a lot of lessons there. In a year, there were video lessons on history, life safety, literature. And we as a team, let's say, people from different cities, we worked on this rush, we edited it. And I had such a naive idea. Once again, because I had encountered it many times, so now I thought, I'll take it, I'll do freelance work, and in between I'll also make some templates because I talked about slave mentality. How my slave mentality was broken. I absolutely could not work for myself. At all. I can't come up with anything unless I start making a template for myself. I can't think of anything. It takes time. If there's a client, I won't sleep at night. I'll keep working. I'll do something. So, I always needed a sense of responsibility to motivate me to do anything. And when I was engaged in freelance, in the end of the freelance, I just hated freelance because he terribly squeezed all the juices because I was then young enough, not experienced enough. These crossings are some kind of a regular schedule, faster to do it. Plus, he was stretched in time. It's stupid just jumping away, how to bring people. Still, we work. It must be completed that I signed up on me, as they hope. And in the end, I just cursed this freelance, but I made certain conclusions. Why can you come to other people so responsibly why you can't yourself if you are? You will have incredible results to work like that. This is like motivation. If you will. Seriously, these are some cathartica. It was the same as with Kazan. When he came there is no money. For example, come to work. We started working in May, I think, or in June. I arrived in Kazan in February without money. By the way, why so early? The boss called me. Have you been living all this time until summer? Yes. At first, I lived at his house. Then, when the studio appeared, it felt awkward for me to live there. I'm uncomfortable around people. I started living in the studio. Well, you know what the conditions were there. This is just me being a larva. That renovation was something. Okay, the mattress. Kolya. Thank you very much, sound engineer. He saw how sad everything was because my sleep was troubled. There is such a grainy film. Kolya brought the little mattress to the soul. Yes, it was his mattress. I didn't have one, and there were no sofas there, nothing at all. There was this green film here, packaging, something like that. Foam, let's say green construction. I curled up in it like a caterpillar and slept so as not to freeze at night. And my path in motion designer is a path of pain. They chose a butterfly. Well, here. Kind of like that, because I was also involved in all this, and then when I returned to, I was so happy there, for example, before this situation, it was the last time when such a path passed. Before that, I also worked there. There was a studio. I stayed overnight at the studio. There were boxes. Either I slept on the boxes. I used a jacket instead of a pillow. I put chairs like this and slept curled up on the chairs. Just awesome. And the secretaries come in the morning. I would. Like, oh, you're up so early. Yes. I just can't get out of this office with bags. They're running around, I don't know, washing up in the cooler. Well, in short, total nonsense. We were walking with you, and I will also tell this story so there is no money. I'm dealing with this structure. I was lucky then. My boyfriend, I think, was at the Kazan Olympics. MHM. I was introduced to the designer Roman, and then they also introduced this translator to me. Unfortunately, I don't remember his name anymore, but he really helped me survive. He had money. He fed me. By the way, thanks to him, I met Christ and started reading the Bible. Thank you very much. That also helped me a lot in life. And when at that moment my brother couldn't go to the funeral on horseback, they called me on Skype. I was crying. I was still going to stand on Vagin then. I remember. I don't have any money. Parents offered to chip in. Well, for myself, I was already set on the goal. I need to grow up. I don't want to accept help. I can get help, but I want to learn to handle everything myself. Here crying, brother's going to the army. I can't come to see him off as if. And when Vasily then brought me money after this raw food diet, he looks at me, says, "Go eat something." Well, I told you I lost so much weight that my butt just collapsed like that. When I touched it, it was just a collapsed butt. And that's the very last thing. Well, I came home. My mom looked at me. She had tears in her eyes. She thought it was all over. And I, smelled already. I don't know if you have experience of fasting or not. When you don't drink, don't eat for several days, you start to smell, Sergey, I don't know, something like table. In short, you kind of get pale, you turn yellow. Here, probably, this sick tube came to him, but there was money right away. He went and bought some Kurieshki salads, and for a week, probably 8 kilograms like that. It was normal. So, and all this somehow fostered this view in me that you have to try, you have to do something. And little by little, yes, it stretched out over the years. We briefly tell here, and I myself don't remember what kind of thought processes were going on in my head, but it was definitely a path of suffering. It's like, I don't know, some kind of despair that haunts you. You seem to be doing something, but nothing seems to work. And motion array for me was like a golden era because I felt like I discovered this, super ability for real. Well, I worked with prints. That is everything you have to work. I sat down, sat at home for a month, could sit for 3 months. And in a year on motion array, starting from 2. So in 2017, in my opinion, I uploaded 67 projects. And then, starting before the 21st, in my opinion, year, I regularly uploaded about 100 or more projects annually. I worked in sprints. a month, maybe a quarter of work, then I cannot work for half a year. Well, like every time I did this sprint, the income just exponentially increased. So the return was just maximum. It was really noticeable. You work straight and it's done. I have a friend who was also involved in stocks. Sometimes he participated in these experiments with me. And he had exactly the same result. And when I read authors who claimed that, like, no matter what you do, everything will be worse, I was surprised. In this regard, look, they're probably talking about a slightly different topic. Something like, you did 2 projects with 3 per month. In such a look, nothing has grown and they're still stagnating. Like when you do nothing, often the same thing happens with income. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. And here, maybe the moment that these are authors who were spoiled by VideoHive. If they, for example, came to Motion Array from VideoHive, there's a different subscription, a different system. And you have to work hard, work a lot, at the same time. On the one hand, yes, I would like to do a project that would make me rich. For example, I remember one of such projects. These are 3 cards that I specifically marked. He drew the FX first. I mean, everything was growing great for him, but it's a unique project. Then there was one unique project. There's some kind of 30-slide show fell. I remember there. A script was embedded, and there the VideoLancer started and other first set panels that appeared. I had never experienced anything like that. That is, I tried to come up with some kind of project that didn't work out. Then I developed this approach of mine. I called my project Butterflies. Because they have a short lifespan, they have a certain deadline, but they still give some profit over time. And I understood, the more I accumulate. Let this project eventually sell for $1. At least. But if I have 1,000 projects and each one sells in different places and a little bit for $1, then overall, the results inspired me. Plus, I also noticed that the more I work, the higher the quality of my templates grows because I was looking for new optimization methods. Well, you just got better. Not everyone is involved in improvement. Some do not deal with optimization at all. Their content may not grow at all for years. It's as if they do it by instinct and such. Well, okay, that is, not everyone is engaged in real optimization and improvement. Although in theory it should be automatic. That is, the more you do, the more experience you gain, the better understanding of how it should be improved. Here, probably just a question. I don't want to throw songs about calling here. No, not a calling. Rather, not everyone has the experience. I prefer someone who came there for the money. That's all. I think those who came there for the money don't really need it. It's not bad to go somewhere for the money. It's wonderful. The main thing is not to regret bitterly years later, right? You spent the time, didn't achieve any results, maybe didn't accumulate, and time passed. Sorry, I don't know how old you are. Do you 30? You're 30. I'm almost 35. I'm already an uncle. I don't see myself at 40 or over 40 sitting and making templates. I just don't want to do it. And fine, even if I have the opportunity to churn out templates, maybe I'll churn them out anyway, some other way. There are still ideas. Anyway, even now, I think that working with templates is worth it because they bring in money. Yes, times have changed. Yes, stocks have been reformatted. Something has changed. I would very much like for one of the authors who constantly makes it to the top 20 in some big category on Motion Array, like After Effects or Premiere Pro or presets, to talk about how income increases. Because there's this thing, if you make it to the top 20, I believe, in a category. Are you talking about current rent? Yes, about current rent. Top honor 45%, right, I think? There's a much more interesting thing. I have heard about it many times, but I have never felt it myself. And maybe, if this really fantastic result, then it is worth trying and making a unique template. For example, what do I want when I do yes? My position. That's how Mousetrap started throwing. Well, the income just plummeted catastrophically. Probably, if there was even a riot there. A little such. If you look, where to look? Okay, I got distracted from Lena. If you look, take a look. Anyway, well, they cut the percentages, but there's such a trick that they increase the number of downloads. And as I heard from some authors, this is utopian. Yes, here it is. So there's this trick that in each category, there can be 20 top projects. And if you become one of the 20 top projects in this category, it increases the number of downloads for you. So for example, you have this top project. He downloads it 1,000 times. They automatically increase it twice for you. And plus something else there. In short, they add on. And as I heard from some authors, it turns out there were 1,500. Now there are 3,000. If you got into this thing, like a bonus system, well, kind of like that. Yes, a very small number of authors encounter this. I haven't encountered it. But those who have, they're just ecstatic. They say it's freaking awesome. I am simply motivated by numbers. Always. I create templates for the sake of money. Not for design, but if someone told, like, how this works, who told the question? Where did the information come from? Why isn't he promoting via Memishiner? This is cooler. Why not propel, but promote? To promote. It's all written as if in this. So they have everything. I just thought, maybe... No, rumors. No, it's not rumors. It's all it there. How it works, it's written there. These are authors who use A2. I kind of know this from them. And like, that's cool. But even we don't really share earnings here in the podcast. And I don't really want to do that. We're starving. Donate whoever can. Though he was 50. Here. At the same time, some were saying that a boost like that is achieved. Well, you see, there are very few of these authors. 20 per category. And I don't know all the authors. But if this is happening, and you can really be one of those lucky ones who gets boosted like this, I might even continue uploading projects to Motion Array. So if something produces results, and I know that this result could be achieved like this, I would take some steps, and if it really brings results, maybe even... He was merciful to Motion Array and did not scorn it as much as happened after. We touched on the topic that Kidilov's own understanding is associated with old actors. The new ones who come will not know they were cheated. No one cheated them because they weren't there before. And that's why they will come and say, everything's fine, look. Everything is great. For them, the system is like they see it for the first time, so there are no problems. But the authors who were there before, they have problems. It was better before. That's it, because of the difference in experience. Were you there at that moment or not? We broached this topic. Well, just a little bit, just a tiny bit. I think that's where we're at. I was leading up to this when it was going by exponent until the 21st year, then the first. The snap of Thanos happens. Half of the income doubled, probably. Then I started doing IT development. Several years in. In principle, I didn't load templates at all. I don't remember, in the 23rd year, 5 templates I loaded. One could say I didn't deal with it all. Then, well, I think in the 24th year, I set a goal to load 100 templates by the end of the year, actually, and something, I think a couple of them are missing, don't remember exactly. In general, it was close to the other templates. Well, not only that, it wasn't just about the templates I cheated, I loaded and renders from the templates, graphic templates, well, Photoshop, well, the main part was still template-based, and in principle, my goal was achieved, even made some money. Again, in a short period, I don't remember, in December, I think I uploaded 50 new items. Is anyone listening now? And I could say that I think, then either increased by 2,000 jumps or by 1,000 jumps in general. And right away, instantly again, I saw the result. Just what thing do I understand? First of all, not every person can upload in such quantities. And secondly, I doubt that if you were a solo author for a long stretch of time, and I'm a solo author, you'll be able to constantly churn out like that over a long stretch of time. In general, over time, I came to the practice that either I hammer a sprint, I can work for a long time. Well, how long? Doing a large amount in a short period of time when developing a feature to change aspect ratios in ITUs. I uploaded over 200 templates on Video Vault. This is approximately like, in the archive, we take one template, change the decryption. So one template, and it turned out 3 resolutions: vertical, square, and post. Well, so you can divide this number by 3, 200 and something. Anyway, it took some time. Well, again, the same video bowl did it. Instantly, immediately X returned. Straight X was one amount. The amount became twice as much. Even back then, at Motion Array at the end of the 24th year, uploading, I saw instant results. But maybe this is the survivor's mistake because it was December, and perhaps some Christmas projects sold well. This is exactly like a Christmas fantasy projects. In this, there is a chance. The delusion was. And here at the beginning of the year, we get again. To the surprise, sharply. And even what comes out like you've grown seems like something, again, ate a little fat away. They take you again and silence you. We won't go into details. In general, all authors perceive this strictly negatively. I think nobody likes it when they encroach on your preserves. Logical. And also in this moment, which I also understand, in some cases overall, in principle, it will be impossible to return to that point where you were. It's one thing if you're, let's say, a young author, and you had maybe 200, 300 bucks there. Maybe you got eaten up, but you can grow back and even surpass it. But let's take an example, an author I don't remember, but he had downloads, probably a month, well, 16,000 or so. I don't know, in general, just a huge quantity. Over 10,000. This author is not me. And his income was nibbled away too, but he won't be able to reach the download count to 32,000 in a short period of time. Here, so for young portfolios, this is quite normal. They will also feel growth. Even 8 subscribers were there. When we started a protest, let's say I call myself a hit. Other authors have hits that have been working for a long time. With hundreds of projects for 500, we felt, and some other authors, by the way, a mutual acquaintance of ours, talked about it. About what? I don't know about you, but everything is fine with me. Everything is growing for me. Well, I sincerely, of course, rejoice for those authors whose works are growing. It's better to grow than to fall. Here. So that's how it is. And this is what you can't grow or go back to the point where you left off. Mentally, it also bothers me, for example. And I have no desire to deal with emotions when they led these. Rules change means change again. And yes, change this. Well, it has changed twice already. Well, it will be third. And the third will be, yes, easy for them to say. Here we go again. Moreover, this behavior of users is explained. Guys, if we talk about the economy, the user always votes with a cent, with a ruble. And your hand reaches in and starts inventing, spinning the mechanism. Pull out more. Yes. Where is this happening? Well, for me, this is like some kind of overall fraud. That's right. And an important point, the subscription system is not regulated at all. It can be manipulated internally to just trim off a few percentage points. No one will notice. That's a short period. And you can spend it any way you like in your favor, and no one will notice. This is an internal mechanism. What questions? So there are many hidden things. So there are many hidden things.
This is not a direct sale where you can immediately see here is a sale. There is no point in deceiving, so to speak.
It doesn't work like that. It always ends up in a way that Motion Array will benefit. At the same time, it is always presented to the author. This is for you. This is for you. We looked at it. We turned to it. Here is the benefit. And this is what annoys the most. I have talked to guys a lot somewhere. I say, I would respect Motion Array more if the management just came out and said, guys, we are now taking more money. Just don't explain anything. We decided this way. We want this way. We take the money. And I would be just as outraged. I wouldn't like it, but my outrage would be less. Then when they tell you, it's for you, it's for your benefit, it's for you to win. No, guys, here's the moment. This is a feature of any company. Try to make it look like it's beneficial to you, no matter what they do. Although in theory, they could at least not specify this point like, we do this because of users, but without a phrase like, it will benefit you, it will be useful for you, and so on.
But this is a feature of any companies that are like, here you feel bad, but it's beneficial for you, like that.
I'm curious about how. Maybe they have a certain corporate environment where so everyone perceives everything easily. I don't know. I'm the boss after all. When I don't like something, I start to bare my teeth. I remember when, for the first time, all this was happening. Moreover, the first time it seemed to me that this couldn't be. Like so much. Well, that can't be. I was doubtful until the last moment, but I was one of the first to raise an alarm back then. Guys are deceiving us. Could not believe that this was happening somehow. And I was texting with Motion Array. Maya was responding to me. And she was always trying to somehow maneuver, not responding directly as it were. In the end, they told me, you're annoying us. If you don't want to work with us, then don't. I say, that's how it should have been. Don't bother, not worth the time. That's right. I'll bombard you with emails. You bombard me with emails. I'm a person, in principle, I really like straightforwardness. Because straightforwardness, it's many twists and turns. Well, it eliminates problems, misunderstandings. That's it. No need to make up. I don't want to work with you anymore. That's it. We basically don't work together anymore. Starting with something, trying to come together, trying to present it somehow, play it out. You'll only make your face look worse. Becoming, I don't know, a slippery character. By the way, this probably worked for someone. I'm sure it works for someone. 100%. You can't speak to him directly. He is so unexpected. And for someone, this particular point works smoothly. I don't know. I'm from the CS space. Overall, I don't know people who would like that. Yes, you don't know that. Maybe they would enjoy communicating, and that's why they are outside your field of vision, because they are such people.
Maybe.
I generally don't like other authors, so I don't like people. And in general, I don't really like other authors, because I was in one group there. At some point, I just left because I got tired of constant whining. I thought you would say about whining. It's a constant despair. Everything is bad. We were all deceived. No matter how hard you work, you won't make money, and it's constant. So I say, I perceive this as just crazy theories. It's like, I don't know, at Hive I did a project. Well, I was a newbie back then, yes. What I have done now I will earn money from it. Well, he sold himself 2 or 3 times. Well, why have you been working for so many years already? I don't know, again, I haven't been following for many years, in what quantities authors work, don't work. I'm so indifferent to it, as it were. Also, if you're interested, look there. When at high version, you sit every day from morning till evening. That's it. Update statistics now. I may not log in at all for a month. Not look at the statistics. I'm interested. Strictly the final result. Here, I still know authors who go every day to look at something, record something. Oh, you jump there or there. I just get tired of it. I get tired. Okay, I can understand authors who regularly load templates every day there. They probably have it. And also, well then, find something else more interesting. And these authors, whining and suffering, but then again, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I haven't looked at them enough. I perceive them as yin Taev.
Looked at them like that with a magnifying glass.
Well, not with a magnifying glass. Well, really, you can go there. I don't know. Let's take M. Dacing, a designer, I think. You look, he has projects coming out every day. Not in any category, maybe a lot of people, I don't know. In any case, he somehow organized himself. Even a team, maybe organized. I know they're authors. Really, they have teams, designers draw designs. Someone else helps them. I even helped them at one time. Thank you so much. With DaVinci projects and Final Cut projects, yes, it's kind of good. But there are authors who don't really do anything, but at the same time expect some kind of result. And this really annoys me. And you can't really do anything and shouldn't do anything. Well, we talked about this today. I call it whining. I really admire, I really love hardworking people. I have 2 subscribers.
This is coming from a person who's had 50 template months. No questions.
No, there are authors who... So, there was a contest on VideoHive. Well, you just had to upload projects there. And one of the subscribers... Roman, hello. He uploaded over 200 projects to the video blog in a month, in 2 months. Not bad. I think this is a truly unique case. Firstly, he was a newcomer to the video site. He didn't know how to upload projects there. He wasn't skilled. Let's put it that way. And it's not easy to upload a project there, to throw in an archive. Specifications, make placeholders, they're renaming there, well, in general, so that the web browser later perceives it all. And he wrote a huge number of projects. There's also Artem. He works in Tried. He was originally signed up for the Final Map project. Just like that. He even bought a laptop specifically to work on it, and we talked with him and his position right with him. I just do it. I work long term. And that's what I was talking about some time ago. I think long-term strategy works at any time. If you made a template, even 10 templates you've made, and you're waiting for trucks to arrive now, money to be distributed somewhere. But this is so. But if you do 10 templates every month for a year, let's say not 10, let's say 5. But in a year, 5 times 10 is 50, plus another 60. Each time the chance is just increased. Yes, plus cumulative effect. Compound interest. Let there be fewer falling there. The percentages are doing. Yes, less money, but still, it's money that remains. Now we're not only motion array or video. I even upload to PontV. I at this. By recognition. No, I consider a mess. I don't remember in what year. In general, I uploaded almost all the portfolio to PonPay that was at that time. And he accumulates about $500 a year there. Well, in any case, money, in short. If they accumulate from everyone, yes, I forgot about him. Anyway, he managed to accumulate $500 over the course of a year. If anyone has spare, you can transfer it to me. I always say there, guys, if you have extra money, here, please send it to me. If it's not enough, or if it's too much, you can think of it as extra. You can always write to me personally, say, accept this gift. I'll gladly accept it. I'm not against money. A bird pecks at a grain. By the way, that was one of the ideas for naming the podcast. Bird by grain. Not bad. And they're not such prosperous stocks. They're Mushin, Element, or something else. Well, suppose you have 5 stocks. Each of these 5 stocks can bring you $200. Or even 500. Well, damn. That's awesome. So even if it's just a little bit, but it brings you something in total, that's very good. It's not bad at all. Of course, $1,000 in 2015. In 2016, I thought, yeah, you're just going when you take a bundle of money like that. I see. It seems those weren't 5,000 ruble notes. Back in the day, dollars were 30 each. Yes, up until when was this? Up until the 14th? Wait, no, it was already around 60 by then. Yeah, it was exactly in 2014. I had around 80,000 back then, roughly. I don't remember, it was around the 16th, 17th year. Is that 100? No, in thousands. So that's the bundle I had. You put a cutlet in, kind of heating it up, yeah. And then there was another moment too. When money reaches a certain level, you stop paying attention to them. At the same time, the biggest money that I think I earned. When I was doing fraud, I was doing design work or videos there for free, and a guy wrote to me saying, "Do you have money?" What was it called? Money. What kind of money was it? Yamani? No, not Yamani. These were the very first electronic money, long time ago. Web money? Web money. Exactly. There, I think, was $1. How was it there? WMZ. WNZ. I remember that it was something like that. And he transferred me like $3. That was exactly 90 rubles. How happy I was. Because those were the first money I earned for creativity, let's say. And kind of, they are real, which you can use there, so to speak. Yeah, I mean, because my dad, let's say, had been skeptical towards me for a long time like these. Nonsense. This is with everyone. This is with everyone. Yes. Not offensive, have nothing. Dad could well have been right. Yes. At the same time, like him, I would really I missed this moment. My dad is a man with golden hands. I didn't tell you, he built a rover there everywhere. I don't give a damn, no. There, in short, the car is just from Varhaver. Wow. I'll tell you real, finish shooting, I'll pay you, I used to give the guys. In general, we leave, it's on tracks, we drive on land, on canals, then we enter the lake and sail on the lake. I understood everywhere. Everywhere, that's all. Like really goes everywhere. And Don as well, he has built it with his own hands. He knows how. I, unfortunately, missed this moment. Here, even simple things like a lamp. Yes, in my house burn out, I can't change the lampshade, I don't know how. Dad will come. He will somehow change the lampshade for me. Immediately, I had some tools. I started up the drill. I learned something somewhere, but I would like to have more knowledge. And my dad wanted to pass this on to me at some point. And I from that. Obstacles. I was busy at that moment. Why? I was sitting at the computer. That's it. Graphics. Yes, graphics, yes. Different paths. And at least you didn't suffer for nothing. So this is also a moment. At least, but I understand that it didn't work out. I don't have reflection on this matter. But I understand that I could still get some basic knowledge. And Dad, he wanted to pass on this knowledge. I understand myself clearly. For example, he is a father hunter, fisherman. He knows it all, will explain everything, tell you how to do it all. And I clearly understand if, for example, here's an example. There will be a post-apocalypse, not necessarily a doll. Sanctions have been imposed on us. We cannot take the money out. The stocks fell through. Please, you don't have to go far. My brother. That's it. He's no longer involved in stocks. Conchita. It doesn't work to restore it in any way. No loopholes, no schematics. Everybody, perhaps, and the shop is glued in many places. Everybody, whoever did it, ate it. Now it is very difficult to do this, probably, only if you really leave the country. And like at the beginning of our conversation, we talked about how you came for money. Then you won't get into the studio if you were making PP Persian, for example. And then he ran out of money. And I'm sure that many people quickly get used to good things and want the same, for example, level. Yeah. And here, darn, there's a vegetable patch. You have chickens, you can go fishing. In short, I am very inspired by some autonomy. That is, if some trouble comes. Even my wife and I have plans. If, say, something very bad starts to happen, I know that having gone to my dad's place, this is a place where we will survive. With this person, we will survive. Of course, we have a local joke. It's a joke. Dad just builds everything from shit and sticks, but it works. So, he made a gate there, for example. Just tinkered something somewhere, cut some metal somewhere. But these are gates. They look normal. Yes, maybe they squeak. But he didn't invest a penny there, roughly speaking. Maybe on bolts. And I like this opportunity. Even like this. Buying a house. You see, they're selling the box for 6 mults. Well, you probably need to invest 3 more mults in repairs. But if I were like my dad, for example, and could do this, and building a house yourself, this house would cost me not 6 mults, but 3 mults. I would build it myself. I would finish it myself. And I lack these skills. And I regret that I lack this. And I too am a certain hostage of stocks. That is, it's probably the only thing I really mastered perfectly. I would probably say so. This is the only thing I really know how to do very well. I won't blame a specialist. A specialist is not a specialist. I generally like dealing with stocks. Now it became boring because monotony. It has turned into a routine. There is no challenge. But if you work with expressions, there is a challenge. Well, the expression is clear. It's not about tying things together, but about writing something serious. I like this.
Essentially, a challenge is needed because it becomes tedious, it becomes routine, and therefore it becomes quite boring.
Boring? Boring. And boredom is already a bad sign. How do you approach it?
No, I have one. I'm already drunk.
Well, after programming, I don't really want to deal with templates anymore. Plus, unfortunately, maybe fortunately, when you have mastered automation at some cool level, you don't feel like tinkering anymore. This idea of a fix comes to your mind. Now I'll do something. Now I'm going to do something. I will come up with something and cut it down quickly. I am not leaving. It has been haunting me for countless time already, so now I will find some approach. I haven't sat down or tried to do it yet, but I want to come up with some theme. By the way, you managed to do themes. That's when you did typographic presets. The best thing I have ever done. The most top-notch. Tell me how you came to this.
I saw, in short, typography on the VideoHive somewhere. It was Pixelo. I thought, I need to do something similar. And I did something similar too. Very similar. And it was selling. I thought, this is mine, typography is mine. Not so much of it.
I started churning out this stuff in batches. There was also an author, XFSD Signal, I think, like that. He is eating now. He is still busy there now. But basically, these were a little bit script-like for him.
I just saw some graphics from him, like graphics, and I was like, wow, it looks cool, and I also started churning out. It seems, and it turns out, were selling, it was amazing, and maybe 5 people were doing all of it.
And they were actually all the same type, but with the best sales. I happen to have a project called Unique Typography.
Unique typography. This is the maximum sales I had for a certain period of time. I was happy. They added it to the futures, and I was like, oh, this is a successful moment.
Well, look, these are just projects. You didn't tell me. I'm interested in whether you made FFX presets for After Effects. 1,000 and something. So what am I getting at? You created some theme and generated a huge amount of content. Tell me about that. How did you come to that? How did this idea come to you?
So, I'll introduce some introductory information.
Once upon a time, Adobe had a program called Adobe Bridge, MMM. There were often FFX presets for After Effects. You could apply and preview them from there.
But initially, if you actually create it, there was no preview. I became interested in how to add my own preview initially.
I found a way to add my own preview. Now you could preview the preset in Adobe Bridge before applying it. I did simple bounces, basically some animations. Back then, I was more into expressions and some simple bounce, and you have a preview of how it looks like. And with some settings, you open it, took a whole collection right away. You preview, apply any, and enjoy. And they started to be sold.
I remember I had about 50, I think, FX presets.
Well, with my 50 hands, it was completely done, yes.
Well, I added a little bounce there, changed the parameters a bit, added an animator to the concept, that's all. And I was like, they are selling them like cool stuff. And I had the idea to make another 50 for some project.
It was also done by hands. And then I was like, why would I do it by hands?
I was like busy at that moment. There was like a contest, well, an event.
Excitement. Yes. And there was just according to the scripts, like create a cool script. I created a script, text, animator, suite, it was called. It's like you open it, select the text and different parameters that you can tweak, and there's a random button. You press it, and it just randomly tweaks all the parameters with expression, like coin balance, where there's no balance.
You've received the ready kit.
I didn't win the contest, unfortunately. I probably don't remember what he won, but I was striving to win. There will be giving $3,000. But the winner here is 1,500. Well, that's 3. That's in total. There.
1, 2, 3 winners. The first biggest jackpot gets. In the end, since I've created such a thing, I create such a panhandle. They were sold before that.
I wrote a simple script that takes all this, randomizes it, and creates a whole bunch. Well, in my opinion, I saved the presets manually, all these fixes. I created 200 first, I think. Then 500. Then I created 1,000. Well, this is practically generated.
Each preset was in and out. Application and so, they were sold.
Not all very successful, but they were similar to what I did manually. So, basically, visually there are no special differences. What I did with my hands, what I generated. And then I also created such a thing. It was also a script. Something similar to Animation Composer, only a shitty version. Shit, on the basics. But there was a preview. You could choose an element, and the preview was based on. Before CCCM.
SPF файлы. Это Adobe Animator. Раньше он был, назывался от компании Shockwave. Он называл Macromedia, Macromedia, да, Flash, вот.
Then Adobe would have bought out and integrated into Adobe Animate. And, in short, the SVF files are basically scripts on which games were created on them. I remember there were many sites. Well, that is Underground Tank, or whatever it was called. There were a lot of games, in short, on Flash. Cartoons. Massiania was also on Flash, so there's a ton of stuff. Well, you could create a button. Well, there was full interactivity. In short, it was a cool thing, but from a security standpoint, it's complete crap, so we got rid of it altogether. In general, I looked at how you can stylishly create a preview. I went in, wrote a little script, simple DSVF. There, I think JS was used. It was called ActionScript. It was the latest version, the third one. But in fact, it's something between JS and some other. In the end, I created thumbnails for each of these elements.
I think it was somewhat automated there automatically. And there I had 2 packs. The first pack had
2,300 on text animation. There was not only balance, but any kind. The animations were good, but overall I had 2 sliders for in and out. You could disable either the first or the second with a checkbox.
Apply either both. There were time markers. So you applied, shifted the marker, longer animation, well, made it closer, animation shorter.
And shorter. You move the elements and look in the preview to see how it looks.
It was even bought.
And then I released a second pack after that, which is the same thing, just 800, I think, elements. Well, it's different, really. I regenerated it. But overall, similar stuff. Someone bought it too. But the first one sold the most. In short, Animation Composer is really minimalistic. After, I think, CCXIV or even 12. how CC, in short, began to appear.
They removed SWF from there, and essentially all sales of this script began to decline because everyone was updating to new versions.
And it just became outdated. But in fact, I generated a bunch of presets inside the script shell. Well, in short, the similar signature I generated, and well, it was good. By the way, I remember when we lived with Albert, and those were interesting times. Alexander, here are also memories. The first template, like, I did, right? I remember we would come from the office around 6 or 7. I would sit down, try to do something there until the evening. We'll have a snack during the break. Yes, we cook something. I work late into the night. You too. I remember you were working on expressions, doing some countdown with expressions. I remember it very well. The clocks are ticking, thinking how. Who knew what opportunities it opened, explored. And in the morning, I would get up before work around 5 or 6. I don't remember if I was going for runs back then or not. I do remember exactly that I was doing push-ups, squats. I don't do any of that now. Before recording the podcast, I thought about telling them an interesting story about how after the party wasn't even ours. Grown men were letting loose about the caterpillar just before this month. It was about 6, 3, 4. No, stop for 2 months. The caterpillar, it's right close. They moved from the office to a normal apartment. Another point, how did you come to the set panels?
Basically, I saw them, and in my opinion, for example, Animation Composer, it's a plugin originally, so it's C++. It was a plugin right in Animation Composer when I had OS.
It was a plugin right away, and now it's not a plugin anymore?
No, I think it's still a plugin because there are much more possibilities. In terms of visual design, it's worse, well, for example, because it's not CEP. But in terms of internal capabilities, like software connections, it's much better. But this is C++, they are quite, well, a painful thing. They have a team of guys there, so there are no questions.
And I just saw the CEP panel from someone with some interesting design. I was surprised. Like a script. Well, you can't shoehorn it into the design.
And I started looking, I realized that it's Zeppelin, it's like HTML, CSS, JS.
About not baking the design. I remember I introduced you. Once I sent screenshots of Timur Konstantinov. Switch this color. Switch color in this. There's something like letters shorter, somehow. Yes. It was SPF. It was SPF. In short, the animation of this sponge, there was a setting of charts. It was SPF. Let it be. So he has this juicy, tasty design. Well, you said it, probably done by Rivers, right? Well, then you can even make it with pictures. You can. And, when I was developing this, I opened it. These scripts are just ancient. And by the way, his one without E, it still works. I think. Are you sure? Last year, maybe I checked, looked, watched. Simply without SPF, it was impossible to implement using script methods. In general, maybe I'm mistaken. But in my opinion, I checked, I was amazed. In other words, it somehow worked from Bezier, and it is still a mystery to me. I don't understand how to work with influence and speed to make them work with Bezier. And he adjusted Bezier, and this was already Bezier in those years. This is not a script. Not all panels that exist now already then. Most likely, he was baking frame animations there. Now it's clear. Yes, I'm telling you. Got it. Not two keys were being created. That's what I don't understand in the same flow. I understand that some kind of conversion is happening there. Mathematical formula. I searched for it with the GPT chat. I can't find this mathematical formula. It's very interesting to me. I can't implement the same easy script either. I can't reproduce it. There are different values for opacity, scale, and position. I don't remember what it's called. In general, different animation mechanisms. And even when you copy and paste easily, the values inside change. Moreover, there is some transformation, But no matter how much I searched for this transformation, even with GPT chat, I couldn't find it. One comrade found some kind of form, roughly calculated it, but apparently it didn't always fit. This is the formula of the internal JavaScript mechanism.
They have an animation system. If you dig around, don't try to delve into scripts specifically in After Effects, but dig into the general JavaScript system. Until ES6, it was there. They have an example of a function implementation for back animation, bounce animation, and so on. So they were in the browser. So this was back then. This is what is used in a simpler form in After Effects.
Well, for the browser, yes. There's a slight modification there. It's slightly modified. I'm probably talking about something else, because in AE, no idea without E. Well, that's true. That's the point, sort of. And how to transform this, what will work in E, I did not understand. Tried many times. And I don't understand how to transform properties of danger, for example, dangerous curves. If you take them, copy them, and try to apply the same values of influence and speed to position values, there won't be such a curve as the opacity curve. Here's the point, by the way. In my opinion, this is a mathematical formula that is a cycle, but without for and it just depends on time. In other words, the mathematical formula iterates through certain values and creates a curve effect. I understand that there's some mathematical formula there. In a different way, without a mathematical formula, it won't work. But I search a lot for a mathematical formula. I found it. I couldn't find it.
There, the number pi is used as a point.
Maybe.
It is practically used as a point everywhere. Well, in April's report,
I just have YouTube, I don't know, written there by some unclear method. I don't understand half of it, how it works. Right now, when I started, I pounded. I'm looking now. I simply created an internal organism like Frankenstein. I rewrote it 3 times. Well, not every time, of course, it's getting better and better somehow. But there's a so-called legacy, the code. I understand what legacy is. Sometimes I rewrite it. I try very carefully not to. I just have a scheme written like that. I've tried and always try to optimize the code. So that different parts of the function, for example, I have a function, it does something like this. Then I write something completely different. Request this function. Take it from there, so as not to duplicate the same code. And this created such a complex system. I don't always remember everything. Plus I have there just thousands of lines of code, dozens of lines of code. And sometimes I dig into something, make some changes, and then something completely falls apart elsewhere. And this is a terrible stress when a bunch of people start writing to you at the same time that this is not right here. They also, apparently, start walking into something. See, one wrote, the second, the third. And they're also, with several tasks. And then I start jumping back and forth in the code. Good thing I'm not dealing with it. Let's go back to the set panel. Did you see the design there?
Saw a cool design there. Wow, we need to deal with this.
I didn't really get into it until I saw Motion Bro. Didn't really get into it. Knew they existed. I'm looking at them growing like mushrooms, some extensions for use. I'm like, well, for applying templates. I mean, what's that?
We need to deal with our own. Why not? Cool topic.
Got into my own, learned a lot more about the chain panel, and actually wrote my own version as I saw it at that moment. It's similar to the others, but with its own nuances, so I can't say it's a pure clone, but they all look alike. It was a specific project, a script, or did you immediately start creating Anium? No, didn't start creating right away. It was originally a text preset package, and it was assumed that the solution initially was only presets. And then I was like, what presets? Screw that.
It's possible to do something more, and I started to rebuild it so that other packages work.
Because of this, I also have legacy code related to JSX Beam. This JSX packaging is in a format that is not readable. This is legacy code. In fact, I then switched from JSX Beam to JSON completely.
So now the package is JSON. This is the most logical option. But because of this, there is legacy code where JSX bin is imported, used, and so on.
In short, I'll step back a bit. Wrote his own solution. Basically, the first author who was on the solution was God.
This is a trench. Basically, the first package was when I changed the structure so that it was possible to have autographs. The premiere was forgotten.
In short, you can add other people's packages.
Gradually, at this point, began to increase the pace in terms of being able to add options, functions, and began to gradually write. I thought it would be logical to manage some data. From the web, that is, the static package lies on the person's computer, and here you can correct some link through which it goes to the author.
Another thing. But in the end, the exchange has grown.
It was originally on Bootstrap, well, design and PHP, such a stupid maximum PHP. Now it's Vue, nice design, PHP, MVC system, so I realized that it is necessary to improve the system further, move away from MVC. It's not the best for admins and others. And again, there is separately. Well, in short, now it looks more civilized, shall we say.
Well, a lot more packages have been added over that period.
However, the theme itself, where I saw many authors who, like now I will create a project, for example, they took my solution.
They created in the hope that they would jump on the train now. And they fell off this train. They had no sales, their packages were not winning. And for some, on the contrary, they really succeeded.
They were releasing something and it was growing.
So Sondak, is he still using it? Yes. And how did you find them? Where did they find you?
Part of the time, I created a browser extension to easily write as an author. There was a moment when I myself was writing as an author and offering, like, here is such a solution. I wrote it to a total of 100 authors. 10 people responded, and somewhere, probably 3 to 4, maybe, of them, well, such a funnel tried to use. I'm not saying they made it to the end, but they tried. In that sense. So it didn't make much sense. Let's put it that way. However, the question of the initial push. After all, I was also selling my own package of text animations in Atom.
And this kind of gradually became a promotion that, well, there is such a thing.
I advertised one thing on the page that you can also use it, and gradually it is there. Pre-advertising inside, so to speak, advertising. And then gradually the flywheel spins up, and here it moves in this direction, that the more people know, the more they use. Now 30,000 people actively use it per day. Yandex Analytics is disabled for me.
And what about Sondak? Did he write to you himself, or did you write to him?
He wrote himself, by the way. It was funny. He wrote saying, I have a YouTube channel, I would like to use it, but so far
The package creation system is JSON. Well, you describe it yourself, there's documentation, but it's very inconvenient. It's like you're practically sitting in a loophole.
But he coped, like he succeeded with everything. He made it, released the first package, and then he was like, okay, convenient, seems easy, we're using it, everything is fine. And he started stamping them, actually. Then he asked for a subscription system. He switched to a subscription system on his website. I created it. And now he is on subscription and selling regular packages.
He has a YouTube channel, so he easily sells them because he advertises. In fact, this is how a mini business organized for him. But there are a few like Sondak, that's obvious. Most of it was still tailored to VideoHive, but the video portal, yes.
But VideoHive is essentially already related to this topic, well, art in fact.
VideoHive, yes, is a third-grade stock. Yes, like 0.5. Probably not. It's probably all better. Maybe faster. There's probably some variety there too. No, they only upload there for elements. Yes, that's right. Plus 0.5, I'll throw some stones in that garden, but they generally, I don't know, don't develop somehow. Well, open other categories. I saw stock story blocks dying before my eyes. It was good somehow. Video blocks. There were only After Effects projects sold, and they were sold for $100, for $8 as it were. I uploaded there was one sale, but it really brought in like 3 or 4. And he was just dying. I also do. I observed. I thought, that's it, he's gonna die now. And then they hop, introduce, rename, introduce PP. Various domains are practically being used. PP presets, bang, all as it were. And that same moment, I think, when this one was dying, Motion Array, when I was leading these first commissions, these innovations, I think we wrote to them too. At some point, DW appeared there. DaVinci sort templates. And in principle, the same Hive, PP will never be there. Premiere projects appeared there. And DaVinci appeared there. And moreover, I think that DaVinci will gradually replace Adobe. I actually hear such an opinion because with reservations, well, Adobe, maybe not in any major productions. When templates appear in my portfolio, this program, it was so contradictory. I hate it. Now I love it at times. When I first met it, I hated it. Just awful. It has certain internal bugs in the studio version. I think I received a PDR template email every day. The amount of emails I received with PDR templates in 5 years of creating templates, I never received. People really wrote this. It worked terribly. A computer, such an unoptimized program that it lives, I think requires 8 gigs right away, in my opinion. It even slowed down text animation. Well, I argue with many people. I am constantly trying to be convinced. Here on my spacecraft, it somehow works. Well, I don't know, in short, in other people, I don't have the oldest comp, it was at that time, and still it works fine for me, purely for machine learning, updated the machine. Just terrible. If you don't do a pre-render, it's impossible to watch anything. This pre-render also takes terribly long to render. Just terrible. Everything works very poorly. But starting, I think, from version 19, they optimized it. It became faster to jump. I don't know how it used to be at all. Ordinary people. And I understand that the main users of templates are not designers at all. These are people who, well, YouTubers, channels. Well, something is starting there. I also had disputes there. Mogurt and PP projects. Why do you need PP templates if there's Mogurt? Because they are two completely different categories. Do not link them together. It's like I understood these, let's say, thinking errors. Do not compare After Effects. These are two different categories. These programs are used by completely different people, so to speak. The same as Apple Motion and After Effects. They have the right to exist, yes. And there, someone thinks users never customize templates there. Here, PPS template allows you to fine-tune the template in every detail. You can stretch time, move elements if you can. You can't do this in Mogurt. That's what the author said. With those parameters, you will work with. Possibly, but I have encountered such cases anyway. I had a user, some TV presenter from the US. I don't remember, some channel. I know that too. And what was the gist? Slideshow. Some wedding. And we spent an hour making a slideshow out of it that lasted 1 minute and 20 seconds. So, seemingly not necessary. But there are people who need it. You know, there's a review on the video call. By the way, these stories will get old. They changed the settings, so it's necessary. You understand? Ideally, they shouldn't intervene more. I believe, in general, here too. I've come to the point that when you develop a template, you need to think about the UI. Well, including what controllers should be there. Plus, these controllers shouldn't contradict each other. For example, it could be like this. You switched here, and this will stop working for you. Well, think about these little nuances there if the user decides to write more text. Not to cut the text under this, but to make it larger. That is, customization is needed. And DaVinci users. Ordinary. He started laptops. He can't reproduce. Yes, he's unlikely to have anything on a laptop. Well, I don't know, in short, because of these template doors, my reputation is kind of tangled. Let's say on the VideoHive, well, it doesn't work like that. Now they introduced it. If the font isn't installed on your computer, they'll tell you that the font record is missing. It used to be just a black screen. It's awesome, of course. I remember I visited their forum. There you need to write almost a mathematical formula for the CAPTCHA, so they're completely for geeks. Plus, I see they have some kind of system. They have logic, essentially fused and internal. They come up with some schematics. Crooked logic fusion compositions, for example, do not see each other. So if in After Effects I can create a controller in one composition and then link it through others, it won't work there.
There are prefabs, I think a prefab system there.
I don't know. I don't understand it.
Unity game creation uses prefabs. It's like a single component, but it doesn't see what's beyond that component.
Well, in short, something like that. And it turns out, if you have a complex project, you do it in a node system, you just have a bunch. But it's hard to just figure it out, to build such a system by yourself. But what a cool programming there. Is there Python there? There's Python there. In general, Python is an extension. When I was working on something for DaVinci, at some point, I started writing in Python and then still switched to Lua. Lua is installed together with DaVinci.
Listen, in my opinion, it is used, in the script now to create these.
Quite possible. And Python refused because Python is a setting. You need to take it separately, install it. And I know you don't have to use it to install anything at all. Setting is out of the box when there, you may need to come into my environment. So once only, so it doesn't install itself. Lua installs itself. Python is an add-in. And move to interfaces. First of all, a macro in DaVinci can be a full template with placeholders. With some other things, you can create any types of controllers, menus, drop-down lists, sliders, checkboxes. It's all interconnected. You can insert an image there, add a link as if to go somewhere, and it will be a full template. Macro. In the end, it's just a textual representation, so to speak. Macro looks like this. It's somewhat similar to JSON. Overall, configuring, customization is just like that, compared to Adobe. With its presets, Adobe is just the Stone Age. Well, presets there. Well, what about presets there? These are just effects. Well, okay. Maybe they're pet shapes, masks. But overall, it's about nothing. It's just about nothing. It's crap. And they didn't improve them in any way overall versions. They didn't do anything with them. Well, here. And DaVinci has a plus there. You can write scripts directly. You can create scripts with UI. Well, in the free version, starting from some 19th version, they cut off this possibility. This is really crappy. They threw in some crap, saying like, oh, this just accidentally got in here, this opportunity. We returned it to the paid version. So you have to buy it daily. In my opinion, it's expensive, by the way. No, it's actually quite cheap. Okay, I remember it cost a fortune. No, it costs, in my opinion, $200, maybe $3. Are you like right now? Yes, I remember it cost almost $1,000 there. And you buy it once like full time? And do you get updates? Or do you get a new version every time? I don't know. I just don't have that version. Why? Because they only accept free DaVinci templates at stocks. But there's a chance that when you create a template in the studio version, only in the studio version? Yes, it will only open in the studio version. So it's like they threw it in, well, so to speak. They threw shit out for YouTube users, not for those who sing with templates, because there's their own script, and they need to climb up in general, up to new versions. And also, starting, in my opinion, from the 19th version, now in DaVinci, they introduced an analog of subpanels. There is some version of JS, either Electron or, I don't remember, I didn't delve into it. Now you can also make such beautiful panels with interface. I haven't tried it. And I also looked at the statistics of how TR users are added there, and they are added exponentially. Again, I really love Adobe. Adobe is given a lot. Well, in the end, thanks to Adobe, damn, all my activity is related to Adobe. But where I see what Adobe does. Here's an update. This is really the update we deserved. Change of anchor point. New functionality. Thank you. Adobe, where there's a change of interface color for panels. You do this because there really is a user request, and here it's more of an investor request for you to release a new version every year, so that money is always paid. People just pay not to change the color of the interface. And who cares? The question is about subscriber growth, so that they always feel like something new is happening. That always, I don't know, who cares? Who doesn't? Damn, if I somehow got into Adobe, I would change everything there. Many things. Indians would. The question is correct. Maybe Indians because, damn, it's a wonderful program. Moreover, they still don't do what can be done there. I mean, in terms of scripts, that's how I see it. Scripts starting from the year 2012. Clearly, the setup is available in the form of SCP. Now SCP will be canceled. There will be some other setting. But now I understand, with the development of the UI, of course, it all speeds up. More people are getting into this. More guides have appeared. Returning to them in stock again. Then there were some difficulties, there were some incomes. Now there are other difficulties, but at the same time there is an abundance of tools, an abundance of guides, tutors, I've already talked about it. Just requires it from you. Take it and do it. Take it and do it. You can really immerse yourself in a short time if you have a goal. Or you're there, I don't know, after all, already know a little something, you can. You can. By the way, what advice would you give to yourself if you could give advice to your past self? A tough question, actually. I never thought about that. I thought I had an answer. I would say, learn expression, learn programming. But you've already programmed. Even in childhood, actually, I started to learn PHP, for example. I remember I had a website. There was such a website that allowed creating other websites, subdomains. It was called new.ru. And back then I had a website, new.ru. This was still HTML that wasn't called HTML. It had such a name, something like WAP sites.
That's what it was like from a mobile phone. That's when I registered my first website.
It was a strange time of the internet, when there were chats, guest chats. I didn't understand how a guest chat worked. I was so interested in how someone could click, and it would save and be written. I was analyzing the WAP code on this page, which wasn't HTML yet. It was called something really stupid.
I didn't understand. I was so curious.
And only years later, I finally understood what PHP is all about. It's a system that allows processing requests on servers. It was truly unique. And then I got into programming, and now graphics came in. Well, I mean, there's always been a similar path. And if we can say something about the past...
Probably buying Bitcoin.
Well, I probably asked in the context of After Effects and templates. Well, everything probably went as it went, and overall not bad. I can't say that something needed to be changed right away. Well, I know for sure, I generally believe, in my opinion, it hurts me to admit it, I don't like admitting it. But I regret, it seems to me that I've been doing templates wrong all these years. In the sense that animation, any animation in general, be it motion, be it template, I think it should be built with programming. When you changed one thing in one place, the other related parameters also changed. Because you can build such animation with the same expressions. When can this animation be stretched over time? Responsive. He sometimes worked on these clips. Baccarat made. The video was made on Baccarat. And we had worked with timings there. Even he contacted me, the one who ordered the video, the art director. So why do you spend so much time on edits? Like, something there, and everything is fine. It turned out like I think 6 or 5 minutes of video, and everything is precisely timed. And they tell me, it should be like this here. For example, I am somewhere in the first minute. I nudged it, so the whole beat went through the whole video. And I start to redo this animation, redo it. I need to go over everything. This animation on one hand is ready, but I need to redo the keys. And we had a Skype call. Well, come on, like do it. He sat for about 5 minutes, watched, and understood. Well, continue. There were no more questions. But I understand, probably authors can still, not authors, but freelancers can disappear, deceive, lie. Like what? Maybe you're lying that it's hard. Yes. Well, in his mind, I understand. In short, theory is often distinguished from practice. You think, well, you shift. Shift what? Why? Because when you shift, everything that was set up also shifts automatically. Also, I don't know whether I should do it or not. I want to try making templates in a new way. It's about trying to build more on expressions so that there's a moment that's just right for me. I understood your idea that everything should be so automated that when you move this one, suddenly everything starts on its own. This is an example. Automatic badges under the text. This is amazing, just awesome thing. This is just what is needed. I think that video conferencing titles are the best titles. This is the standard of how text templates should be. Since the user cannot move layers there, everything is done so that the text will be scaled. You enter text. You enter more text. It will be scaled. Well, it will decrease. Yes, it compresses. Plus, if there are several texts. If you enter this text, for example, the lower text is also dependent on this one. This one drops, this one too. Not specifically aligned, but something, if it's tied, it should be tied. If there's some shapes, this should be attached to the bound box somehow. Well, somehow. Even if you have pads there, there is just animation on PS. Then you can also bind a null path, meaning you create zeros, then bind those zeros to the bound box of the text. Everything should be tied like this. I know, authors don't really like to customize this, but users simply, I'm sure, sing songs with such titles. They may not even understand that everything is so much for them. I understand this, and I just, well, maybe the credits don't fit very well in the context of the video call. The most popular there are logos, music visualizers, lyric videos. But the credits, there are just a song. Here, if I was downloading credits from Hive, from Motion Arts, from any stock, I would want them to be like on the video call. Well, they're all ready for you, just right. Right, yes, and not like when you downloaded it from there. Downloaded, there's a word of 3 or 4 letters. You need to change the composition size. Okay, if the anchor point is there, it's located in the middle. Someone will scale everything in the middle for you. But if it's not in the middle, you'll have to climb, change something. If there are keys there, well, boom. Not for the user. Not for the user. Absolutely no friendly experience there. User, that's what it's called. By the way, regarding switching completely to the expression. I remember when Striga saw the expression, I was like, how do you combine graphics in this code?
What code if you're busy with graphics? It was really strange for me to perceive the expression because I am a creative person. I am engaged in creativity. How can creativity be combined with this? And only over time did I see the balance of creativity, how it can be combined. You need to make the bounce by hand. Even when I knew there was a bounce, I still did it by hand for the first time because it was so unfamiliar.
And then I started doing more of something and became, well, lazy to deal with this chemistry. I'm such, need to apply. Applied in like this. Wow, this is so cool. There's a category of authors, so-called old believers. I came up with it, and I was surprised that it's kind of there. I have nothing against it. People do as they please, principally not using scripts. I'm more used to this kind of thing. I want to do it like this. Optimization question. It's as if they don't want to optimize. This is an optimization question. But this is an optimization question. Personally, when there is the opportunity, even with some modifications, we will also consider it in the context of AITU. Not even AITU. We will take it like projects used to be done in Premiere Pro when I didn't know that you could partly export something from AITU. I took the project and gradually recreated it in Premiere Pro. And to create the same project from After Effects, it could take days, if not weeks. There. Certainly, it's not difficult. Creating a text layer is not difficult. Adding a mask is not difficult. It's all not difficult. But it's a micro action that you constantly perform. Go there, unfold here, copy, paste, spend time and determine where to add what. All of this stretches out enormously. If the same thing can be done in a few minutes, is this over-optimization? This is over-optimization. And when? So there are still people who either don't want to figure it out or they don't understand. There's another comment like this. I love controlling everything. So I have a case. There's a user ITU. I love controlling everything. I don't like how it works. I won't use this.
And there is control and optimization.
Well, there, for example, I have a function that saves, automatically launches a media encoder, renders, and immediately replaces the layer. Well, in order to correctly find layers, correctly replace layers, I use its layer. And actually, I don't think there's any super duper sense in giving assets proper names. You know, the working template, a person buys a template. I didn't think there in IE itself, the layer will be renamed. It will have a name as a condition. But inside, when files even go, they just have IDs there. I like this person. He says, I want to name things correctly. It's more convenient for me. It's a bit, you know, some sort of OKR, not that big. Well, like so detailed. I understand. In some things you really want to. I have that sometimes. I sometimes recreate the structure of some folders on the computer, I mean with FTV, and I'm like, each name is really something, but it's not often. But it happens, it really captures you so that everything is in its place, something similar. I generally agree with that in general. You can't overdo it with this. It's just not important. I don't know, I can't call it. Maybe it's an overkill, but I guess it's just a conversation about the fact that there are people who find it important and want to do it like this. Please, go ahead. This is your time. How you can create templates with your hands, how you can customize anything with your hands, that's all. It's like, there used to be such conversations, and I laughed. Well, like there is no soul in general. Like musicians and music written now, this music has no soul or pictures without soul there. Yes, there's a lot of content without soul. Guys, yeah. Guys, they're like, you cut mass for the script there. So now we have less soul with us. In general, the theme of the soul or something else, it's like a creation.
Here are 100 authors, each drew by themselves, spent a year. You'll still choose a couple. In the rest, you are my soul.
I think when we talk about some soul, it seems to me that we just assign value to what we create or someone creates. I thought about neural networks. I pondered. I have debates with some people there, discussions. I don't know how to correctly name it. Hot, by the way. I have recognized for myself that even though it is very difficult for me to lose my background experience, certainly, I essentially sell my experience, make templates. It's hard to admit that you're just resetting. Overall, I feel like I'm flying into some tube, which sucks everything in, no matter what they say there. And it won't replace anyone there. There's blah, 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 blah. It replaces perfectly. Roman also sent me a post, the company from the beginning of the year. Yes, I saw it. 52,000 developers were sort of reduced. And they will do that. And this will continue doing it. And I understand that. So, again, we'll just skip over it. It's hard to lose that. Sometimes I read people, no, and AI won't replace us. There's no soul there. Guys, first of all, users don't pay attention to either the music or what you're doing at all. We look at it through the eyes of how it's perceived. We have a distortion of perception. Again, I went through this. I said, the motion designer died in me. I just had to strangle him to start doing what I don't like. But then, in the end, I enjoyed it because I get the results. Results of which, as we talked about, you won't earn any money at any studio. The results themselves are more important. So, what's interesting, you can be a freaking specialist, you're super tri-D-sci, you're something unique, really unique. There, I don't know, they make credits for Marvel. You won't get paid as much there if you made PP presets. It's a somewhat paradoxical situation. It's like, I remember telling you that somehow. I don't know what this actor is called. Anyway, he's a billionaire. He makes trashy American movies, B-class ones, just there, are released on DVD. But how much he earned? No Hollywood actor has earned as much as he did. Moreover, he directs himself and acts in these movies. Well, he dresses up as a granny, as a woman. A bit like a chicken, just a chicken. Well, remember Alexander Nevsky? He acts himself. But here, he is successful, a real person. And he creates this content, he can churn it out, he churns it out, and he amazingly earns from it. I will clarify, and even at a point here, it's like moving from being in a certain sphere, and you feel as if attached to this sphere. You become part of this sphere. It's like participation. You become part of the learning process and the like. In short, and reflexes. In short, the thought is that when you create yourself in a way designer, if you can say so, who you are, how you became it all.
You created a couple of projects on freelance. After the 10th project, you're like,
I am a designer fraud. You go out, I don't know, take a coffee and walk like that. I am a designer fraud. I am a designer fraud. And, in short, whoever I am, a programmer or something else, it's not important at all. You commune with these people and become even part of the perception of these people. That these people, they work like this. I don't know, some programmer, a hipster, he goes to the cafe, takes this one, gets coffee, he has a MacBook, he goes to the barbershop. In short, a certain image, so to speak, is being formed. And you can really start following him. You become part of it. And an important moment to understand what you really want. You want to be in this image. Even if you have enough money there, you are not worried about it for now. Or you want to move up and become higher. At one point, I also had such a transition where I was like, I'm an audio designer. It's cool, stylish, youthful with that word. And then you're like, I probably want something a little bigger. And then you're no longer an audio designer. You really need to overcome yourself. And I want to become a businessman. And at first you were like, businessmen, audio designers, it's totally crazy. These are different things, completely different. And you gradually grow and overcome yourself, in short. And you overcame yourself. And now I'm a businessman. In principle. And this is the best point. At the same time, you're not a businessman. You're already a millionaire and so on. This is the best point from which you can push off further. You can continue programming or something else, but you will remain in your own perception of businessman. When you program, you do not fully associate yourself with programmers. You are like, I just create a startup to make money. As a businessman, I approach this task not like I'm cool in the community of programmers. I'm great. This is like a moment of transition. I mean, you probably described it well. I look at creating templates straight up like a business. Yes, this is the best option. This is my business. I professionally create templates. That's all. To me. No, there's still some things. I'm rooting for them. I want the template to be convenient. Well, good. This can also be called a business process. Yes, better do. This is a business process. Here you can name. I probably want to add that while making my product, I want it to be of high quality. At the same time, I am not ready to invest excessively in quality so that the product corresponds to its, let's say, price. I believe that anyone can think as they please, that I found this balance for myself, not to spend a month or several months on a template. I can put together a template in a day, let's say in 3 days put together. At the same time, these same templates are accepted on stocks. They're accepted. This has also changed my way of thinking. These shitty designers do something, and then, when you earn money yourself, see how other people earn. I am glad people are accepted. They work economically. They can support their family. They can help their parents. They are ultimately busy. And who am I to have this crap accepted there? This is not crap. This is also a moment of restructuring perception. So for me, this is a very big process. I would call it humility. I wouldn't call it humility, but I don't have the word yet. I would call it humility because this, some kind of pride like a designer's. I'm such a good guy. Underestimated. Look at the templates I make here. They are, what is this here? There's a word, I think a sense or something else. When you're like that, well, it's like pride. Well, in principle, yes. And all this broke, I see they do again there. It begins, well, I see a designer, so they slapped it together on their knees. What do you care about how it was slapped together? The main thing is that it is then sold. We all have different experiences. Here comes a new author. Can he do it as an author who's been working there for 10 years? Or now a beep will come to mind. Come there, start making templates. Well, I think it will show the level on the stock. Many of us can do it like beep. Few who make Nix Motion level templates. By the way, I have a serious problem. Nikita, please tell us how much money you earn on such templates. I have a serious problem laying. The moment earlier on have could still be compared. I compared my butterflies, that's what I called my templates, they live long. Clear, clean, modern, corporate. And I looked at authors who, damn, gradients, particle work. I would like to do something like that, but I look at my sales and his sales. And I understand that I have sales twice as much. He has 2,000 there. I have 4,000. And here, there's some kind of internal misunderstanding. Well, objectively, if I look as a designer, yes. Here he does much better than me. Well, objectively, I can appreciate it. I'm a kind of superficial designer. I'm not a designer at all, if it comes to that. There's that designer. You can clearly see that he is a designer. How well his colors match. How the fonts complement each other. Even the animation gluing, these editing techniques, you see a person working with this, not like there. From the top, from the bottom, from the left as it landed. But I had a rate set. I could just do them regularly, like on an assembly line. At the same time, the design is different. The design is different, but the overall structure, it was exactly conveyor-like. Right, bottom, left, top. I played with circles, squares for a long time, but then I just ran out of ideas, figures too. You start to copy yourself in a way, so you have to move on to some new things. Programming is the best.
What about programming came to your mind? The thought, yes, I added.
Regarding how we look at other designers or something else. We're not the target audience after all. We're just part of the community. The client is the target audience, and the client doesn't understand graphics. That's the point. That's it. Even if they understand or not, their criteria are simple. I like it or I don't. We basically work the same way, but we also have a movie. There it's like this, and here a couple of pixels, and here like this. Well, here it is. Well, experience. Experience in any field, not the third, and the user votes. I saw that he can vote. Not like I would vote. So, I would choose these designers, not myself, for example. But at the same time, I see that I have the best sales. There's no answer, really. Why? So I'm curious to know, can Nikita spend months on a template? And I wonder, is it worth it at all? Well, at least he wrote in his group that he does it so as not to get rusty. If stocks are crappy, he will be in demand as a freelancer. This is a very smart position, yes. Of course, I wish everyone to make money, and if the stands collapse, you wouldn't have to work as a freelancer. Although when all this started, I really don't want to go back to freelancing at all. Never. Just avoid that. But if, when the sanctions all started, I considered one of the options of what I would do, I would continue to create templates and simply sell templates. Can you imagine the moment? Remember when the dry laws were there? I will still continue to do this. Certainly, Nikita still has a trick in what he does. He flew to Motion Array and took prizes. I don't know what they are. I don't follow the contests, but if you immediately received, say, 500 conditional units for the template, in principle, maybe it's worth it. If it continues to sell well in the future. Well, again, everyone has their own strategy of doing things. Well, Nikita's template has a studio quality to it. Well, I don't know if they are easy to customize for end users in the end. Users might be put off by this animation and quality, yes, because they will find it hard to work with. We need to ask Nikita. We're waiting. Nikita, right? Essentially, our canvas, the structure of the podcast was like a start, an entry into motion design.
A funny thing skipped the implementation of motion designers.
Then we moved on to stocks, their development, how they got there, and so on. Then we gradually moved on. Understanding is a bit, in short, into another realm like programming and discussions about this moment. And here we came to the topic of professionalism and whether it is worth being in the field so deeply and feeling part of this field. Essentially, well, approximately. It is certainly good to delve into something. And enjoying what you do is good. I'm by no means saying don't make quality templates. Do it if it pays off your time there. I just came to the conclusion for myself that I can't spend a lot of time on templates if such an approach can't feed my family. Let's say. I'm ready to do the Sherpa treb there. Well, what difference does it make, actually?
The main goal is defined.
Again, they also call according to the requests. You're still talking about some quality. I probably say this from a design perspective. Clearly, these templates, I'll show them somewhere. Other designers won't repost likes to me, like, look at how he did it. Look, look, look. No, this will pass by. But the fact that it can somehow feed me. And that's the point. Likes Behance, beautiful, and so on won't give anything. Except,
I'm important. I'm great. So this is all for this. It doesn't convert into bread, at least what is necessary.
Damn, listen, in a certain sense it does convert, because it can bring clients to you. If you're a freelancer right now, I see some familiar freelancers there say they want to go to the stocks, but Motion Array will add something there.
Они вот хотят вот зайти на стоки, но вот то Motion Array что-то подложит.
That they seem as if something somewhere is bending. On one hand, it bends. On the other hand, it does not bend. Because if you spend the necessary time, and, for example, you will have income, stable, passive, let's say $500,000, you will even depend on freelancing less than before you have this income. Let's say even it's $100, let it be $200. You will feel much better about yourself. Well, much better. Well, holy cow, these are incomparable freedoms that stock gives you. That's why I freelance. No, never do I want to. It's just, while stocks exist, I will try to cling to them with all my might. I understand, on one hand, I've already stepped away. I do more programming, I like it. But, nevertheless, the thought of packing doesn't leave me. While there is still time. While there is still time, yes. Here, and I think you will understand me in this moment as a programmer. Do we have conversations that kind of start, well, they're about AI, that you can't do templates, you can't do animations, they understand nothing. And all in this spirit. And I also realize that the people who talk about this, that AI can't do this, can't do that, it's because they're in the bubble of commercial AI. This gives you this opportunity of AI. Well, he can't do that there. This doesn't mean that somewhere in someone's stash, there is someone who is already doing this. Everything works fine for him. And I was going to get involved. And it throws me into a certain kind of trepidation and fear. Why? Because it lies so close to the surface. I realized that everything we have on the computer is information. And we, perhaps people, may not see some connections between this information. They're byte 64, yes, something is encoded, or here we write video images. Yeah. But the machine, how it was taught to draw, how it was taught something else, it sees these patterns. It draws a picture. The algorithm works approximately like this. It sees patterns in pixels. That's why I can draw them. Yes, green shade. It doesn't know exactly what it's doing, but since it's trained on a large data set, it roughly knows what should go there. Probability theory. When I recently read about this, I thought, damn, it's just awesome. On the one hand, it's so simple, although I don't really remember the school program. Were those findings there at all? I don't think so. Probably somewhere there. But the theory of probability is a simple, in fact, idea. If you understand this, this is a simple idea. This is the probability of happening or not. In fact, this is 1-0. Something like this is all translated in the table. Just not all data can be translated into it. But at the same time, one of these 0 has a chain relative to the polling probability. Yes, and she is already specific in fact. And so, I'll look at the templates and I understand we just describe everything. The entire After Effects is a template. It is described. It can be expelled by each key.
There are script miters who first recover repsin and the meaning of the keys.
I have already done a parser now. Moreover, as I like this parser, but how I will have to climb this blow to this. Why do I like him? Is built in this way. That he himself, sorting all the values, and just takes everything to the gully. You're desirable to optimize some parts so that he does not display the fact that he is, but he is just because he takes everything off. There are so many parameters displayed there, well, that I have never seen in After Effects. But I understood there's a lot of something embedded there, but what is in general not used. It's also legacy, well apparently this. I ended up with JSONs worth 100 megabytes. In other words, the data is entered. I don't really like to mess around with it. I consider it good code. Where it's written in such a language, it itself found everything, displayed everything needed. But here, for example, I take the data, yes. At the same time, I understand that there are errors of the same IP. There is a parameter from the modifiers. Was the parameter changed or not changed? There are a lot of parameters that were not changed, but the layer was created and it will see it as created. For example, the position. It can be just a position or it can be a separated position. And here's my parser, which reads. It will show you both the regular position and display it by X and by Y and by Z. They are not used. And I can't check it all. Modify or not modify. And here it starts outputting everything just in a dumbed down way. I understand, damn. Well, we'll have to rewrite. We'll have to do it manually. I don't know, I'll have to do it, or better yet, find patterns, which I will find. Anyway, I'll have to dive in and write if else. That's what I'm talking about. I'll have to dive in and do if else. And I think that even diving in, it's not only if else, it can be firstly cases, secondly, a recursive function that is inside recursive functions. So recursively, it was outputting everything for me. But I don't need that. I need to filter out a lot of stuff. And you can't do a check for that. It's just a question of verification. See, an algorithm in theory can be devised which does one check like in a loop. Here comes an event, then another event, recheck if it doesn't match, then okay, in short, EFL will have to be done manually. And what will I do to them? Like a robot poked him. Oh, he can speak for himself. Okay, Jesus, I understand, everything is clear. Give this to the machine. She will look. Moreover, I won't even hide. I will subscribe, download author templates, parse them, and learn from author templates. I think motionaries are already doing this. I also, by the way, think so, although I asked them a question, and they said, no, we don't do that. So their policy has changed, and everything that is not described. I think you said that, perhaps. The policy has changed, and that's it, the policy has changed. These words are simply not there, but they may exist. That's all there is to it. Given how they treat authors, I think they all do it perfectly. They may not transmit themselves, but sell that moment. Maybe they're not looking in that direction. Still, this is also a template and a quite narrow topic, but I understand that everything can be washed out. It will also be possible to teach. Well, yes, good. No soul. Well, let me not have a soul. In the end, I will see, let me have created structure. I have created pre-comps, but I just need to fill it with data, draw shapes, we'll need to learn. If again, I understood, damn, it's unbelievable. Even vector shapes, they're described by points. We'll learn calmly. This is probably the simplest thing possible. Yes. They're really, when you open SVG, any AI, well, Illustrator, that you can see for yourself, like, I see what it looks like. Indeed. What is the problem with data sets happening? It's still better to adjust to finer settings. For example, a star, if the shape was how it is fed. Do you have something like that, or a table? Write an asterisk and the relevant points. Hey, by the way, about JSON, and how it will be template-like. First, I will teach on my own, like when I throw a prompt. Tags, for example, JSON, templates with keys, compositions, nested structure. I have mice. What if we bypass JSON?
Immediately create NZ or safe tensor models. That is, bypass the JSON conversion moment.
The moment of weights will be directly related to the templates in the training process. I don't quite get it yet. Okay, just had an idea. It's not certain that it can be implemented. I just thought that JSON in theory is this moment. It's a crutch by fact or a transit point between template and neural network training. In theory, it can be closed. It's not that important. It can also go through it. No. How will I feed the data? That's the point. The data will simply not come in JSON. It will be immediately saved in the safe tensor model. Well, not necessarily in safe tensor. Initially in a model that already configures the weights. The weights will be readjusted with each new template. No, I don't get it like that.
But this is a model vector model in four-dimensional perception.
Well, I'm just starting the words you say. I know something there. I started taking a course there. By the way, there are 2 courses, and I was really surprised. The site is called, damn, I don't remember, with an S somehow, not Skillbox. I was really surprised. A bunch of courses. There are cheap courses there, like thousands, 1,500. There are free courses. Moreover, you can. Right now I'm starting a course. Some WTFU course, something like that. In short, some university directly. A major university, right? About neural networks. Please. I was amazed. I thought, oh my, well, cool. It turns out there are. And I was going to take another course on neural networks from Yandex, and there the courses cost around 200, well over 100. Probably. And I thought, no, I'll better watch something free now. Let's see what will come out, what data. And maybe, if anything, I'll go there. I also learned something, thanks to, by the way, these courses that I'm taking. It turns out, Google has some kind of service. You could just do it for free. If you have a weak computer, a weak graphics card, you can remotely install local neural networks through this Golang, even generate videos. Well, there will be limits, but generally for any tests. The fact that this is possible really amazed me. So, I built a computer here. To work with neural networks, it turns out you could do it like this. And perhaps, for a start, it was worth trying to do all this remotely. Well, yes, there are powerful GPUs for speed. Well, the idea with neural networks, that's the idea I will implement now. And this is the very idea. I was thinking.
More like a hobby initially, right? Did you engage in that?
Well, it's also a hobby. On the one hand, I find it interesting. On the other hand, it's like an idea to make money. No, it's clear. It should always be there. Whatever you do, you can always convert it into a channel. Well, how can I say? You could say it's kind of creativity for the soul. Well, in the sense, like showing the world what you created, but in fact converting it into money, and then converting money into any activity you engage in. By university, I don't know it all. Read rap. I really want to stop working before retirement. This is my ultimate goal. I don't know how to earn such an amount of money somehow. I understand this is probably at least $500,000. Probably, yes, approximately. Preferably more. Preferably more, yes. Well, at least invest in some long-term portfolio. Yes, consistently. Well, I'm far from that, but I have this greenhouse of hope that I will do something like that. And this will allow me to do this in a short time. At the same time, I also realize, just return and use a template. Hit, 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 hit. Don't stop. This will also give very good results. Not as before, but it will give. This is not hopeless. Templates are still selling. They still bring in money. And growth is still possible there. Not like before, but it exists. And again, as we say, a bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush. Because I can. In short, this is important too. Don't chase after money. And I feel like I have this, a golden fever. Here it is. I smell it. Yes, it's done, but it gives amazing opportunities for authors. Although at the moment, at the end of the 24th year, I used it, although I often use programming myself. That is, I do something, I programmed, I like it, I'm enjoying it. Also, I say I won't do this anymore. I'm sitting here, updated there. No one knows. It's happening under the hood somewhere. But the extension has become more stable. It got better. He moved to some other tracks. Here, for example, I added a chip. The spread meter periodically, so to speak, turned black. And until you reset it, well, you won't do it shorter. It happens, it won't happen. But when you do a reset, all the settings that were in the search were stored in local storage, in the browser. All of them were lost. Why not store in a separate JSON storage? So here, you've understood everything. That's exactly what I realized, that now we have a document where all the settings are saved. Not all of them yet. Well, I'll do part of it. Then I got bored. I'm busy with my own stuff. But I transferred some part, and the main things that were important are now saved there. Even you'll be jumping between versions of it. This is exactly the main nuance, that if you're in the local, you probably won't be able to jump there. Yes. And here you're already working between versions. Everything is pulling up. So, no one really knows about it. I don't advertise it anywhere, but still I work there with stability or some other feature. Of course, I consider it a blessing for YouTube when I work. Because when I work, I start using to myself. And if something doesn't work somewhere, I start fixing it. So, here it is. There was also such a moment.
Used an atom in the process of filming one thing. Well, for myself.
And I'm like, well, inconvenient, my God. How is this? And, ideas started appearing right away. This. Well, I quickly finished, didn't become another devil. Well, I'm like,
damn, you can do this. So many moments, and I hadn't used it before. Seemed like everything was fine.
And then use such. There is something to improve, significantly improve. I'm tired. Well, are we going to chat for a long time? Well, and in general, there's a threat specifically regarding templates. I don't think anyone will be developing and specifically making templates, but some local story may be it. Because it won't be very interesting for business. Why make templates when you can make videos right away? I can't understand this. I, too, find it interesting to do it myself. It's like the extension I made. I was interested in doing it for myself. Then, when it became some part of commerce, I got so tired of it. I burned out. I burn out with IT. I guess we've come to the point of the heavy burden of a programmer burning out. Want to drop today, but didn't drop. I will tell now about the fact that if you write code with errors, you're a junior. If you write code and know how to fix those errors, then you're a middle. If you regret the chosen path and dream of a house by the lake, then you're a senior. I'm a senior. By the way, really, I'm with A2, so how much time I spent on development, set around the clock, I can really write code now. I'm a senior right now. Well, I really feel that I know probably some tasks that I couldn't do there, well, except those that go far beyond something. Although there are some books there, for example, mining text layers in Premiere Pro. There is no IP, no direct way to do it, but the invented bicycle allows you to transfer text from IE to Premiere Pro. Well, you won't find that anywhere. They'll tell you it's impossible. Perhaps, through a huge number of trial and error methods, a mechanism has been invented that allows you to do this. And now is just the beginning of an era, in my opinion, of After Effects and all sorts of scripts, interesting things, but the main problem of this era is that ancient extended script is used there. By the way, I even feel sorry for Adobe. It doesn't switch to UPX. This is also that it'll be the same extensive until the next setting, until the next bone. So sorry for some reason. I feel sorry for them, that they did an amazing thing in terms of functionality. But we don't use it as intended. Well, programming inside After Effects, expression inside After Effects. You understand? Most people, most template authors, let's say all their programming is about creating color. Control. Okay, Luckily, there are hidden ones that allow you to kind of adjust the head, which will stretch, adjust. But there are many more possibilities. And I've done well in terms of scripts and many parameters. Moreover, this is the most significant gratitude I have, in my opinion, in Adobe. The best peak is in After Effects, because I use Photoshop. Just such fierce stuff. This is simply crap. Just a mess. Because there's so much mixed in there, like action scripts and some other incomprehensible stuff. In short, just the worst thing I've encountered. I hate Photoshop. I think examples, huh?
Well, once she won, I don't even know.
Premiere Pro is also not the best, but there is still some logic present. It's unusual after After Effects. But nevertheless, it's there. Plus, there's this loophole in the form of an engineering rabbit's hole, so to speak. That's what it's called. Yes, about Photoshop. So you found this secret script method there. The next version of Photoshop came out. I had a case recently. From version 25, shaping is done differently in Photoshop now. It no longer works. And there can often happen. And now it's more unclear. It's constant. What are you doing there constantly? Why is your program changing like that? And why do you do it at all? I understand that sometimes. Costas, most likely, little crutches, a crutch. Well, I understand the kind there, that I don't like renaming myself lumbar food. I understand how the consequences follow, but when I go, I understand why I do this. That we will now get rid of it. It will start working differently, but it's better because it gives more mannerisms again as the subscription system appeared. In the end, it turned out to be a blessing for Motion Array. Like we talked about restylers, guys, believe us, everything will be awesome. So it happened. Everyone got up. Everyone seemed to rise. But here they changed for some reason. It is unclear why they are changing. I really didn't like it. That's it. I already have a headache. The illustrator is doing pretty well, so to speak. Oh, by the way, how does he work? Someone show me on the Adobe forum, like something is not working for him.
I looked at the photo like, it would be okay, not so bad.
What don't I like? First of all, you look at each program. In each of the programs, Photoshop, After Effects, Illustrator. There's a blended mode, but in IP in all programs, it's like different. Although there, for example, stroke, it's there in Photoshop, in Illustrator, in After Effects. They roughly work more or less the same. You know, I have some kind of regret. Guys could build such a suite, this ecosystem, and I see that there were attempts to implement it. Unified thermal stage. What can be done in Illustrator is to copy as if to put a mask on a layer from Photoshop, and something can be done like that. They also had an anchor written in that relationship. You can browse data, extended, something there. Remember, in scripts there are, when writing an app, you can create a type of object that allows you to access another add-on application. And catch this response there. I don't remember much. Well, St. Petersburg, most likely I didn't even use this. Yes, but with them. They have a lot of different add-ons and crutches in general. Why is North getting rid of it? Because it's a flawed system. This communication with each other through extended and JavaScript. Well, the logic is senseless. Regardless, he rewrites everything logically. And when I look, guys, everything could have been so synchronized for you. So everything could flow into each other. It could have been so cool. I saw a comment somewhere that at some point she switched to movies. Well, like, why do we need it if there's Photoshop? And now movies are the standard. And it's awesome if then. I do understand, though. There's an opportunity, and then I prototype something in design right away. Well, it's more for presentation and approval with the client, to be honest. Well, like with animations, and then comes this question. There are adaptive plates under the text. Unexpected. Understood. There are flex elements in the design. You can create responsive design right away. But essentially, it's all in one. For websites, for graphic templates, Photoshop just looks outdated after that. So you can link objects there that interact with each other. I was watching, they were doing some design there. Here, his stretched vertical and hop. There's flex there. Like flex, yes, and bunny will nudge to right. That's it. He collapses, he has a hop. The columns kind of lined up, rearranged, the sizes kind of change. Without programming. There he just chooses something. Damn cool. Yeah, overall, yes. Just even the plate that can change depending on the text size. It's just, well, fantastic. I agree, but I don't need to use it, to be honest. I somehow even needed it. I myself, in principle, don't make templates in Photoshop or elsewhere. So my wife was doing a little design. She draws, then I export to E. When I made a template from those corporations, I just start drawing a bit. I guess it works. Although I understand, this is not the best approach because it will still be faster to change something in the program. For design, well, that makes sense. The question is also about speed, not about specific moments. We can contact Victor. I don't want to address the audience. What disrespect. This needs to be left. I don't respect at all. No, it's not that the podcast was somewhat forced. Many undertakings are initially done by force. So what? What are you trying to say? That's normal. I don't know. Maybe I said too much, like, well, you can edit it. Interesting. No, maybe I said too much when I wrote in the chat, like, I will try to make podcasts, sort of. Are you trying now? Yes, I'm trying. I will even edit something, if even something there. The currency of activity in this case is likes, subscriptions. Maybe we'll go somewhere. Although at the same time, I myself see it as a local story. No, well, you can upload it to YouTube. It will be uploaded to YouTube. Just reasoning in the process of the podcast. Listen, I think, as soon as I arrived, I immediately started talking about this. This is necessary. Demotivation. No, this does not demotivate. I probably approach everything with a huge dose of skepticism. If it hits, well, great. Maybe it will hit. Maybe I will take some action. Well, again, here we are recording. We have several cameras here, several there. That's all. It will spend my time, which I could have spent on something possibly more interesting for me, which would have brought more benefit to me and my family. On the one hand, it's a change of activity. I'm not saying that, oh, how terrible, that's how it is. But to say straight away that I have a huge desire there, I am now positive there, I will fly, I will shoot now, guys, in the next release. Vote, vote. Basically, it's even, disgusting to watch some videos. I don't like people contorting. This is, some kind of pretense. Vote, give this. This is some kind of emotions radiated, I don't know, positive. Not. It's interesting to just be Timur Karchenko. Timur Karchenko is a gloomy, suffocating type. Well, this is how it is. Here, well, I wouldn't say that. Well, no. You like how I wrote? Like you. Again, how to say? In general, the way I communicate with people sometimes, you don't have to communicate like I do with the same subscribers. The same subscribers say, you can't communicate like that. You're a representative of the company, and you're like this here. And I say, I'm a dimwit. I communicate like I am, as I can. But I'm tired on the one hand like this, take yourself, whiten, justify. But still, again, I have a certain life philosophy. I don't want. This also wouldn't be quite right. I understand we all play games. Where's it necessary? Adjust. Somewhere this needs to be done. Somewhere, on the contrary, it is necessary to show firmness. Everyone has their own criteria on these things. And if they check steadfastness towards the wife, obviously, she doesn't like it. Yes, I understand the same thing for subscribers. And I don't like it here either when I show some firmness. And I understand that, in principle, when I ask a question, you're serious. It's like I'm struggling with their lack of intellectual abilities. On the one hand, it's rough. On the other hand, it really gets to me. How? Are you serious? Sometimes I can't believe that this can even be questioned. But I understand people are different. We all spin differently. And I myself, probably the same, when I was writing, when I was learning to code, there seriously. But overall, it's always like that in any field, something like, there are people in one field, all understand, no, and so on. And I don't know, they go to doctors and the doctor is like, do this and that.
And he's like,
I didn't understand. And he can really not understand for a long time. And how can such a simple thing be? Obviously, I have some professional deformation, so to speak. I understand that, for example, clarity is important in programming. Algorithms are important. That is, when I ask some questions there, for some reason, there's also irritation, anger, burnout, all accumulated. Why did this happen? I am specifically asking about something here. I start building some kind of ladder that is not connected to my question at all. You say, record a video. A person disappears. Send a screenshot. A person disappeared. Or she eliminated herself. No, she didn't eliminate herself, because if there's an error, I have a philosophy too. It needs to be corrected as soon as possible. If a person disappeared, he certainly solved it. He just didn't inform you why she suddenly decided. No, it wasn't decided there. I'm guaranteeing you, if something doesn't work with the code, it means it doesn't work. Well, sometimes, you accidentally click somewhere extra, and this is not related to you. What strikes me the most is that there is such a tendency when subscribers start explaining to you how your code works. That's just like my ass is burning to the maximum from it. And that's how they start explaining how it should work. I wrote the code, only I know how it should work, what it should do, and what the results should be from it. But I see that people mix in such a concept. I want it to work like this. It's not working correctly for you. They made up for themselves how it should work. That's why even though there's a comrade there, he writes something those there didn't want to touch. Indeed, there are people who worry about my this. Condition, yes. I didn't want to worry you, but somehow I say, if something really doesn't work, let's fix it. I'm for if it doesn't work, let's fix it. But when you there are twirling some of your gadgets, using some other scripts, then for some reason it doesn't work for you, or press it unclear where. I have a feeling people sometimes they point to the buttons, they don't even understand why they are pointing. They just poke. They just look there, learn a long time ago. It's like in Iga you can make templates without understanding how you make them. You know what he added? Or some other effect. You don't fully understand how it works. But if you don't understand how it works fully, you can't invent something new, in principle. Tell us about Anium. It's the stock that you created. How many authors are there? How did you develop it? What did you develop it on? And what pain did it bring you? The dialogue hurts. It was developed for about 6 or 8 months.
Laravel framework, PHP framework. Designed to, actually speaking, pages, not Vue and other cool stylized things. There are quite a few authors there, actually many. Well, I invited some authors myself, don't you want to come, and so on. And so on to the authors, actually. There is a lot of content, and in principle, it needs to be stored and promoted somewhere. Therefore, socially, it is not necessary to name authors. They will probably come anyway, seeing or hearing about it somewhere. So there are enough authors.
Regarding promotion, other actions, there's a big question mark here. First of all, not to mention a remix, there always is some.
What one can do, there is some sense, but it is so minimal considering the effort and so on, that the idea itself is a complete failure. In this regard, it is better to engage in something else.
And rather, this is stupid too. Plus, there is work with clients that you are responsible for.
Here are some questions, something like, and it's the same thing there. There are people who create. Accounts are authorized from Google, then additionally registered with a regular email without Google, and write, I have no products on the account, and you, in principle, are always on this topic, like you are a call center in fact. And such a depressive concentration. Of course, I respond more or less adequately. Sorry, you're here. And this is so irritating. Yes, I want silly. Are you normal at all?
Well, I try to withstand this nonsense so as not to. I, in principle, have a mood. You know, someone will write to me, the first thing I want to share, a fragment from this, from the series Truckers. Go to hell, step. Classic. Directly, I'm like aggressively, like everything that's written to me. What do you need? Write me in private messages. Not necessary. I sometimes even think maybe I need to get an additional number. All my personal life remained personal. I exist there. Here you are hammering me. Don't hammer me. I'll come there at the end of the month. Maybe I'll watch. Maybe I won't. In principle, I'm starting to ignore. Don't talk too much. Why not? Speak more positively. I'm a very open person. I charge for customers. No, listen, it's just really partly like that. Every person who turned to me for help received individual support from me. Literally, I was ready to record video lessons. Not one video lesson, not one video review. I was ready to conduct, to show something, but sometimes I began to get tired. Then the fact that I do it this way does not guarantee that people will eventually benefit from it. Use. And sometimes it happens several times. At one point, a person wrote, I recorded there, he used the demo mode. Then you can write in 6 months. But it's kind of in demo mode. I'm not sorry at all. Use it. I even say it, guys. If you are diligent people, you are ready to register Telegram accounts. A new Yamal mail, you can register an unlimited number of profiles. The demo is over. Start the trial again. I think with Adobe, for those who don't want to pay for Adobe, it's all kind of a scheme. It's even easier there. You want. Please do. But don't come to me for help to guide you somewhere, show you something. And I have one factor that really annoys me. It just really pisses me off when people who have been using the product for a year, 6 months, write to me with some difficulties. And I understand that. Okay, maybe it's my fault somewhere. And I'm fine with that. But sometimes people start mixing in IT efficiency. Why doesn't it work in DaVinci? And why doesn't this work here? Why does it have to work? Or why does it behave like this here? Well, those are different programs, guys. What can work, works. Either she explained what will work, what needs to be done. The answer is simple. Export it. See what works. What works, works. What doesn't work. That's it. It's simple. Or sometimes people start somehow complicating things in their head, thinking that there's something special there that needs to be done. There's no need to do anything special. Do it, see. Doesn't work? That's it. Close it, delete it, and don't go back to it. Well, I've basically reached that condition. I don't want. No one as a whole already kind of help. I have a lot of videos, already a lot of video lessons recorded. At the moment, tatters were made on each function. Now there are more functions. Gave myself away. You can even have some word. When you spend, I'm done. Here, right? I can say, I'm done. That's it. I can't, I don't want. On one hand, I'm freaking out that such work has been done. It carries a lot of benefit to me personally. If I start working, I have practically everything I need there. There's practically everything I need there. Plus, damn, the ability to program is a superpower. Well, really, that's how I see myself. It's an awesome skill. Plus 8, it has grown, it's not just 8. It's an ecosystem. I improved authentication, registration on websites there. The same front end, back end, well, it's not quite AE anymore. It goes beyond boundaries. Even if I do some things there, I kind of consider I have some ideas. If there are any I already know, here I will be able to do this. I have a rough understanding of how the server works. Maybe it's not ideal. But I can put something together on the fly. I will have at least registration, authorization, also bot implementation. Implementing crypto payments right now. I see how my subscription is implemented. Well, it's just terrible in the sense that the scheme itself is. I just don't understand why I created such a cumbersome structure. There's G-Stone, nested G-Stone objects within objects, just rewarded entities that are not needed. Why do you why? What about him? I didn't know.
In this regard,
You know, IA2 is an extension created on the fly. There was just an idea. Is it always like this? Yes. I wanted to implement it somehow. I somehow implemented it. I implemented it as best I could. I don't know. It's hard to ask anyone. I don't want to bother anyone either. I need to figure out on my own. And do tasks. Again, you see, for example, I had no experience in creating architecture. And the internal structure, you know, the user, what field should be there, that's also a certain architecture. Now I understand, well, what you've done there. And then it seemed quite natural to me that there is a subscription. The subscription contains these fields, while there are keys. AE, PP on one hand I understand. On the other hand I realize, damn, you have to write code not AE, not PP, not MG, but right after effects. This, everything so that always when another person comes, he doesn't think, what is MG? This is how to. Here are the advisors, right? Thank you. Take care of marketing, hire people. Here I am too. What kind of people? What kind of people? Only I rummage how my code will work. In addition to me, no one will correct this code. Because even if there's a programmer, this programmer should at least understand After Effects or Premiere Pro or DaVinci is a little expensive. Yes, sorry. So many things. Not every author knows this. And here you do not just have to know, you must fumble for the code and how the notes work there, how they're binding. Well, come on as it were. I myself am here. He began to record lessons to one author interested in IDA. Well, I recorded an export Prime Minister. The export of the final cut, and sat down to write down DaVinci, exported, well, we need to do some fraud there to fix something there. I understand, I don't want to. That's all. I don't want to dig into it. I don't want to spend time on it. Even if he wrote me privately, like, will there be any more lessons here from Krill DaVinci? It's interesting, I'll ignore him. That's it, I don't want. If I suddenly feel like it, I'll record a video, I'll post it. But not here, I don't want to. I have other things to do. I want to watch the rot. You know, I think I've done enough. In general, the essence is the same. No matter how much you do, no matter how much you improve, it will always be not enough. Even if there's just one button with "press me" written on it, there will be people who will ask where to press.
that's true.
It's a thing, especially when you talk to people in a certain sphere where these people constantly. I generally think people who work in call centers, for sure they walk around straight. I see everyone.
Here's everyone who goes here.
Well, maybe not to that extent. Why? Imagine, people look a lot at where in the call center. And, in fact, in any call center you actually encounter stupid questions. I had a case, it was just outrageous. In general, I ordered equipment to the apartment. I don't live in that apartment. It should come by a certain time. I'm going there. I waited for half an hour. I think an hour I waited. They're not there. I say, well, that's it, I'm leaving. My wife says to me, well, wait a little longer. We registered something to her number. She calls, we're on our way, we'll be there in 5 minutes. No one for half an hour. In short, I waited for them for some time, then I packed up and left. They call later, asking where are you? No one's there, they don't live in that apartment. And, I arrived there, the house is empty, I don't even have anywhere to sit. I stood there the whole time, as if I was waiting for 3 or a long time. That's why we're sitting on these branches. We are good. And then the adventures begin. The money was paid. The product was not delivered. I start communicating with support, and here the endless circles begin. And I communicate. Now I will translate you. I explain. Now I will translate you. I start explaining again. Then after some time, and this is how and I'm already done. I can't take it anymore. And I understand this operator here, the new one, he is not to blame for anything. And they just fell on him. I don't want to extract negative about him either, but I can't tell the same story every time, how everything happened. And here, probably, with iTunes users, I have the same issue. People may want individual approach, but everything is already written. Everything is already told. What else do you want? What else do you need? Not later. By the way, I think the last time I was sitting, someone there, couldn't connect to the Telegram bot. I was even getting to the point of not taking this registration at all. There are users who use it. Use it. There will be no new ones here. Well, first of all, the conversion is simply terrible. Let's say it's terrible. Registrations are increasing. There are no new users. Okay, I got it. I created a not so good export extension. I accept this. To struggle more and I don't see the point. Well, on one hand, I somehow thought let's see some marketing, something to stir up. On the one hand, maybe it's worth it, but then again, we talked today, I don't want to lie to you. Yes, marketing is always about embellishment. Without embellishment, it won't work. That's right. Not lying, it's embellishment. I don't want to embellish anything. I want people to come knowing the difficulties they will face. The main thing is that difficulty brings you luck. Great, hello, I would like to... Well, there's also a point in that. In places, I gave an example before, this author of the novel about Mac. He just loots projects. And this one is specifically created for him. Probably the amount of projects exported to other projects has not been done by any author. In DaVinci, he has a beautiful design. Pro. He is constantly in the top picks in all categories on Motion Array. Well, he's also a young guy. He's in his 20s, he's everywhere. He's charged. Yes, apparently he's burning because they ask you, do you even have free time?
How is it charged?
Charged. I sort of understand this. Cool, like a handsome guy, figured it out. At the same time, I can't say that he somehow super-duper annoyed me there. Yes, there were questions. At first, I kind of try to help, explain some nuances, record the lesson. Yes, great. Then don't touch me somehow. And now, they even write, I can already say roughly at the beginning of the dialogue, I am not providing support. I don't want to provide it.
I remember Lancer had a note on vContact, maybe still there. I don't consult in PMs.
Again, don't consult in PMs. I understand that after some of his packages, projects, people wrote wild stuff. And how about this or something else? You shouldn't essentially be directly involved, but most likely someone reached out like asking how to do this, finding out more stuff. So I'm at it, damn. I'm grateful. Well, damn, subscribers, also a big thank you, because thanks to the people who used 8. who pay for it and help create ATOP in the form in which it is. In essence, they paid money and immediately became testers. Well, yes, I have one moment left.
Look,
In the process of the podcast, I fucking hate you. And here, a little inconsistent in time, and someone like that, oh, that's it, okay, I turn it off. At the end of the video, I think there are no contradictions here. I don't argue.
I mean, in terms of time, it needed to be shifted slightly. First, I thank, and then, but there is one.
Just do another. We can always edit if something unnecessary is said. Torres, for example, the author Torres Mahdi, he has made a huge contribution, significant as an astrologer, and as a tester, and as a generator of ideas. Although this is one of those users that I can sometimes simply dislike, because there are too many ideas, and the problem is also that there is an insurmountable gap between us. For example, I sat there for a week, yes, or several days, or even a day, let me not tear my ass away, wrote some stuff. Can you imagine it? The user checks it and gives feedback. Yes, it works, but not as it should. So I just perceive it as devaluation, you know? Here I am, damn, earning all this hassle, yeah. I sit through this, like put my health into it. Your hassle won't go away. Really, you sit there with such a head, even when we record a podcast, and you feel how my brain fills my skull with gray matter. And when you program, you feel like you constantly have this pulsation. At the same time, you're so immersed in it that I understand why I burn out on all this. You're so immersed in it that you go to bed thinking about work. You can't sleep from this at all. You don't sleep. Yeah. And you wake up with thoughts, so you just became one with it. Well, maybe I would have had a completely different attitude. Kite, if there were more users. Well, times more. In short, if this brought, I understand. In short, if the treasure that I feel invested there. Like with stocks, when you freak out. No, the attitude would be different, about 70% for sure. It would be different. In many aspects, you could even hire programmers, hypothetically, and so on. Here, in this sense, I kind of torture myself with this story. No, no one can use it. I torture myself because it is my brainchild. I try to be good there. A good guy, a developer, right? Me, I could get up at night, fix something, update, up to the point where it got to. And in general, I perceive it more than a plus because I enjoy it. Why put off until tomorrow what you can do today? I like this promptness. Well, I understand this is excessive. This all ultimately, in short, harm me psychologically. I feel disgust for all this. I don't want to deal with this. On the one hand, I really love it. I would like to do this. But no, I can't spend my time on this, something that doesn't bring me a return on that time spent, as much as I spend on it. That's it, it's just by a physicist, mathematician, because if I spent as much time as I said about it, not on support, user, to please them there, to fix something, to bring new functionality. And if I were dealing with templates, I would just loot them, as I looted them before without AO. Without ADO, I could create 100 templates a year to upload them. With a site, I think I could do much more. I was all warmed up with the hope that now I will finish with the site and start flying templates. And with the site, I will do much more. Although on the other hand, now I understand, well, okay, I will just do it with the site while online. I won't push myself. Everything is easy, so to speak. Again, the site is not necessarily necessary for you to loot a huge amount. Again, you can loot the same amount. You'll have more free time then. Time is either converted per day or somehow into life. I've reached a point where I want to spend time on anime. That's the right attitude. And I also brought the internet home. I downloaded a lot of games now because the internet allows me to do that. I'm right in Baldur's Gate with like 130 extra gigs. Crisis, the first, second, third, Days Gone. I basically played everything that came out. So, what I plan to play, I don't know if I'll be able to break myself now. Break in the sense that I'm used to being in the process of working. I need something to do. And I need to break myself so I can finally relax. To let go. Well, just let go. Although maybe I won't be able to let go completely with games. Well, at least with anime. Power off the computer and just read books. Another session at the computer. It was with an element, a similar situation, one fig. It really doesn't go that far. But while you're working or, well, can't break free right away, then it's a way out. It's some kind of relaxation. It's better than giving nothing. In general, I have a main task that I need to implement. Well, they say you want to burn bridges right away and all that. Well, I'm already in that state. I can't relax. I'm always tense like a string. I understand that having a tea is the best way out. In short, for example, I drink vodka. Well, that's it. I'll drink beer now. I don't drink vodka. I'll be pouring beer as if. And here, well, you quit drinking while you quit. Or I smoke cigarettes. I smoke a pack. Well, now I'll control and only smoke half a pack a day. On the one hand, it can be, you can progress, yes. On the other hand, since I used to smoke before, well, like that, took a pack, threw it away, and that's it, I kind of stopped smoking. Yes, maybe there were some attempts when I did this, then started anew. In short, I know myself, and I know that. If you leave such an opening, a crack, a door of some sort, then you're most likely going to climb in there. Yes, and I understand that in my case, I don't want to leave any cracks. I really want to take a break from the internet for some time. In general, even if there's an A to chat, though I've left the paid chat, subscribers who use it, I won't return there. I want to steer clear from the internet, and you simply get up and leave. Where are you going? No, by the way, it's quite something. I'm heading towards that. I don't really need it that much. I'm hanging out on the internet, as usual. And there is something to watch about bloggers there. I'm not following. I'm not interested. So what's the point? You're an adult to follow, right? Well, look, he didn't watch something. Maybe go check it out. In Telegram, I have some subscriptions to things I don't need. There are no such subscriptions. And even what's there, I could live without. I just at some point think I need to download a template. I subscribed to designers. Something to read. On the other hand, I don't really need it. I'm wasting time again. I'm not really learning anything there. Just scrolling through the feed. Need to delete everything. I think everything will be fine. Normal. I know where to go. I know what needs to be done. Just need to find the strength within myself and do it. It's an elementary thing. Do not turn on the computer. Last words. Listen, but how? Deep philosophical thought. No, seriously, you know that? No, I agree. I mean that you set the pace with that voice and said.
It's bad that the camera is not recording his recipe right now. It's necessary. This is the very moment.
At some point, when I was doing sports, there were 100 push-ups a day, or a kilometer to run, or even 10 push-ups. These are 2 minutes. Try doing 10 push-ups every day for a year. It's a matter of discipline. People just start abandoning it. Forgot at the initial stages. Here, especially with programming, it's a disaster. There are simple things and very easy to do. You got sucked into that, and I'm right here. I have this dependency right here. That's it. It's like having a splinter in your brain. You need to solve the problem. sorry, you need to solve the problem. And you're sitting there, not getting distracted by anything. You're right there. Well, I'm right there. I become one with the code. Until I decide I can't eat anything. No need for that. Straight. There I really worked for about 16 hours straight while I was developing this. For a year and a half, 2 years in such a mode every day. Well, by the way, when you're in such a state for the first week or couple of weeks, it's even cool. But when you're in it for too long, then that's what I understand. For a short period of time, it's normal. Sometimes we need to push ourselves, overcome ourselves, but I burn myself out with such an approach. Let's go back. About the template, as I said. I had a sprint for a month, maybe a quarter. I tried to do it, and then I rested for half a year. Or some other long period of time. But I haven't rested a lot here for many years. Then still support, as if poking or something else, and here already. Not a week, not a month. I need just a huge stretch of time. A huge stretch of time for this. Well, in general, I think reading the book Proverbs of Solomon will help me, which I am currently doing. What is written there in general? For a prudent person, lie down to sleep, and your sleep will be sweet. I read, and I understand, it concerns me in my heart. This is written for me. Like what needs to be done along this path. And Soma will be at peace. My compass just got off. It's time to adjust it. Well, now we say goodbye. See you in 10 years. I hope I live. Let's go. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.